Prefer my compensation be in cash. My father would be grateful if you hire me, and you know what that means. You can contact me directly in Malibu, California. Barbara Streisand knows where I live. Thanks for considering Hunter Biden. Back after this. If you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. Scattered rain and thunderstorms taper off early, but that's after resulting in some flash flooding in a few spots outside of the St. Louis metro. It's cloudy this morning, a few breaks of sun this afternoon, turning muggy, a high of 86. Little to no rain expected this afternoon. A low chance of a shower or storm tonight, but mainly dry, down to 74. Friday, partly cloudy and warmer, up to 90 with a 20% chance of rain. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
When you go to vote, how do you know that your vote is being cast the way you want that to be cast? There's new equipment being used in the St. Louis area a little bit later on today, right around 7:35. We're going to hear from one of the election authorities to explain to us just how this stuff's going to be used and why we should be confident in it. I'm Mike Ferguson. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your day. And, of course, one of the races you're going to be voting on in the near future, the race for governor. On the Republican side, there is at least going to be a three-way primary for the Republican nomination. One of those candidates, Bill Eigel, joined us on Wednesday's program, and boy, he was pretty much taking swings at a lot of different politicians, including people in his own party for, in his words, not being conservative enough. Here's what he had to say. Once the Dobbs decision was rendered, Missouri immediately became one of, if not the most pro-life states in America. And, of course, that's what happens with Dobbs, and they said this is rightfully where the states are going to take the lead on this particular issue, and Missouri did the right thing and went in the pro-life direction. Absolutely. Illinois has gone the wrong direction, and basically they're trying to hand out abortions everywhere they can and go in just an absolute morbid death direction. Yes. Whereas Missouri went in a pro-life direction. So imagine how many people were surprised when they saw a St. Louis Post-Dispatch article just this past, 4 or 5 days ago, something like that, saying that one of the candidates for governor says, well, we could revisit some of that, and a campaign spokesperson was quoted as saying, well, we could amend the state law to add a few exceptions and things like that. Other people around the state are saying, wait a minute, we're a pro-life state.
It's like, hold on, what did you say?
Let's go ahead and do that. So the question I think came up is why is this coming up amongst the Republicans in a Republican debate? Now, one of the candidates in that race who's not looking to add exceptions to that law is State Senator Bill Eigel, who joins us right now. And Bill, good to talk to you again. Thanks a lot for being on the show. And secondly, the post-disgrace article comes up, and are they trying to sow a little discord within Republican voters, or are they just pointing out legitimate differences between the candidates when it comes to abortion, which is something I didn't think that you all needed to debate again? It's just settled in the state.
Yes, good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me. And first of all, yes, I thank you for clarifying. I was not the candidate that decided that we were going to try to turn the heartbeat bill into some sort of Swiss cheese product with punching a bunch of holes in it. That was Mike Kehoe, and I think that quite honestly, this isn't about sowing discord amongst the candidates so much as it is Mike Kehoe just showing once again that he is trying to appeal to moderates and Democrats in this GOP primary. And he might be better suited for running in the Democratic primary because this is a consistent pattern with Mike Kehoe moving to the left, taking positions that are out of step with Missouri Republican voters. I've been pro-life all my life, and I've been fighting for pro-life principles. I'm the only guy running in this gubernatorial campaign that actually voted for that bill and actually fought for that bill when it came through the Missouri Senate. So I think it's great. I love the fact that on this issue, Missouri's been a leader in these United States, and I don't think we need to touch it. Now, we have a lot of other things that we do need to work on, but I think it really is noteworthy that you have one of the main candidates in this primary that is talking about becoming less Republican, and of course that's Mike Kehoe. It's disappointing, but it's not surprising.
Good morning, Bill. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, do you think this is indicative of a larger, I won't say schism, but a larger portion of the Republican Party who are a little more open to opening up our pro-life laws or anything like that? Is he representative of a movement, or is it really just he's one of the outliers among a few other areas of Republican votership?
Yeah, no, I think this is just indicative of Mike Kehoe being a pretty liberal Republican. In fact, I think it's just indicative that Mike's probably running in the wrong primary. I just can't get my head around the fact that a Republican candidate is actually out there in the state of Missouri right now talking about how he is going to be less pro-life than the other candidates. And that is exactly what Mike Kehoe has done. And as mystifying as that is, let's keep in mind, Mike Kehoe is wrong on a host of Republican issues. Mike Kehoe is wrong on taxation issues. Mike Kehoe is wrong on growth of government issues. He's been growing government. He's been raising taxes. He's been failing to defend the sanctity of marriage between a man and a woman when he comes out in support of the law that would enshrine LGBTQ rights in our state laws. So, again, I'm disappointed in Mike that he's taking these softer, more liberal positions, but I'm not surprised because it just kind of fits the pattern of who he's been for as long as he's been in politics. So I have said from the very beginning that it's because of these policy positions that I don't think Mike Kehoe is going to do very well in the Republican primary. I will say that the only way that Mike Kehoe wins this primary is if suddenly, en masse, over the next 12 months, Republican voters decide that policy doesn't matter. Now, I can tell you, I've been traveling around the state talking to thousands of these Republicans, and policy matters a whole bunch. That's why I'm not very optimistic on Mike Kehoe's chances, and why I'm so optimistic that Republicans are going to choose the guy that's ready to go down there and be that wartime governor to fight this war of ideas that we've been in and kick back against the attacks that are coming from the left and going after our kids and going after our businesses. We got to do better here.
All right, I want to get to some of these other issues, but what's in question here, and the Kehoe spokesperson in that article was responding to questions about the ones that come up a lot, the cases of a rape or the case of an incest sort of situation, and they're arguing that at least you could compromise there. So what's the right approach policy-wise to Missouri's pro-life law when it comes to those situations, which are far more rare than I think what media wants to tell us? But if something like that were to happen, what's the right law?
The right perspective here is that all life is precious. All life is precious. All life is worth fighting for. You don't just say, hey, there are some lives that don't have value simply because maybe the circumstances of their beginning, in this case, their conception. Republicans are about fighting for life whenever it's called upon that we need to be those defenders. To have a candidate like Mike Kehoe say, well, you know what, I've taken a look at this, and, these lives over here, they're just not worth anything. I think that is up until now, the only folks I've heard putting out those kind of messages are the Democrats. And I think that if Mike Kehoe thinks that somehow this is going to endear him to certain groups around the state, I think he's gravely mistaken. If you're a Republican, it's just like Republicans cut taxes. Republicans defend life. This is the latest in a series of moves by Mike Kehoe to show that he's really not that Republican to begin with.
Bill, you mentioned taxes, and I wanted to bring it back to property taxes, which is my major bugaboo in the state of Missouri. We had a recent attempt in St. Louis County to try and rein back a little bit on property taxes for seniors. What sort of play would you be making against property taxes?
Well, first of all, I think I should say that there is no tax out there that I'm not in favor of cutting. So whether it's personal property taxes, you guys have heard me talk about that, and my desire is to get rid of personal property tax in the state, income taxes, so we're not punishing people for the crime of earning and producing for their families, their communities, or property taxes. I talk a lot about the fact that people wake up in this state and they look at other big red states that are delivering the big red victories that Missouri is not, even though we have more Republicans in this state. And property taxes in particular, real estate property taxes is another one. Look what happened in the great state of Texas a few weeks ago. Texas, the governor down in Texas, Greg Abbott, tells his legislature during their regular session that they need to cut property taxes. They fail and ultimately do nothing. He immediately calls them into a special session and gives them 60 days to cut regular property taxes. They still fail. They try to go home. Greg Abbott calls them back again, a second consecutive special session until they get their job done. And it's in the second special session that the Texas legislature passes the largest property tax cut, $18 billion for the people of that state to provide relief for outrageous property taxes in one of the reddest states in America. And, people in Missouri wake up, whether they're here in St. Louis because they saw that vote that the St. Louis County took that said, nope, elderly folks in this county are not going to get a break. Or you're over on the other side of the state in Kansas City where property tax assessments are absolutely out of control. And they're saying to themselves, why don't we have that kind of leadership in Missouri? The answer to that question is because Mike Parson could call the same special session right now while we're on this interview. He could call that same special session, but he doesn't. And the reason that he doesn't is because he's not a leader on these fiscal issues that are actually going to prosper the state. In 2024, if we want to see something different, if we want to follow in the footsteps of those other big red states, we're going to have that wartime governor that's going to come in here and fight these kind of battles against the special interests or the local government entities that don't want to let go of that revenue. In 2024, I'm going to be that guy.
Good morning, Bill. Stal Ponticus here. Ranked choice proponents are trying to make a big push into Missouri. What are we doing to try to push back against ranked choice voting?
So ranked choice voting, of course, is the latest scheme by the Democrats to make red states seem blue. This is a scheme where if you try to rank order every person on the ballot, and we've seen that in other states where this enacted, it leads to very bizarre results. For example, the state of Alaska suddenly having a Democrat U.S. Congress member. So this is a really fantastic scheme that the Democrats have developed, and we've got to fight it at every given opportunity. Now, they're trying to go through the initiative petition process, and I'll say two things about the initiative petition process. One, it needs to be a lot more difficult in the state to actually change the Constitution. If you look at what it takes to change the federal Constitution up in Washington, D.C., that is a much higher standard than a simple 50% majority that we have in Missouri. In fact, that 15% majority has allowed these powerful special interests to come into the state of Missouri, spend millions of dollars lying to the people of this state, and get bad things put into the Constitution. So I think that we're going to address that by trying to increase the threshold by which a constitutional change can take place when we get back into the regular session. The second thing, though, that I don't think gets enough discussion is that a lot of these initiative petitions violate constitutional requirements in the first place. In particular, when you have a constitutional question, the Constitution says that the voters can only answer one question at a time, and it makes sense. If you try to ask 17 different questions in the same ballot, single question, well, it causes mass confusion. We saw in the case of Amendment 3, the marijuana issue last November. We saw in Clean Missouri. We saw the Medicaid expansion, that they all violated the constitutional single subject clause. And as a result of that, all of those ballot measures should have actually been rejected from the ballot and never should have been put in front of the voters in the first place. But our Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, didn't reject them from the ballot, even though he's empowered to do so under Section 116.120. There's been case law from the Missouri Supreme Court saying that he has this authority, and the Attorney General has weighed in that he could reject these items for the ballot. Jay Ashcroft didn't do his job. And because Jay Ashcroft didn't do his job, we now have things in our Constitution, pages and pages and tens of thousands of words from these special interests already that shouldn't be there. So we do need a higher standard, but we really need our Secretary of State to start doing his job, which he just hasn't been doing for the past 8 years, which is why this has become a problem. So I can tell you, I'm going to be doing everything I can do in the state Senate to make it more difficult for these special interests to take advantage of us, whether it's ranked choice voting or anything else. But we're going to have senior leadership in this state that will do their job. And unfortunately, that's just not what we've seen so far from our Secretary of State.
Okay, we're a little bit heavy on the segment here, but I wanted to follow up on that. You mentioned the initiative petition reform. That was one of the things a lot of conservatives really disappointed didn't get done in this last legislative session. So let me combine that with the example you gave of Greg Abbott down in Texas. If you are elected governor, how do you get this massive Republican majority to do actual conservative stuff and prioritize that? Because we just haven't seen that in the last session.
You know, a lot of folks are asking this very question, Mike, and it seems like it may be this really complicated, big answer. Man, you know, we're kind of fractured as a Republican Party in the state. How are we going to get us all on the same page? We know we got some rhinos down there. We don't have enough conservatives. The answer is actually really simple. And the answer is, as the governor of the state, I'm going to combine and unite this party by calling on these Republicans in Jefferson City to actually do Republican things. Look at what Mike Parson has done. When you're the Republican governor of the state and you're calling on Republicans to raise the gas tax, that's going to fracture the party because there's guys like me that didn't sign up for that, and there's Republican voters that are angry because that's not what they asked for. If you're the Republican governor of the state and you grow the budget, you double the size of state spending more in your 6 years as governor than all the Democrats combined in the history of the state, that's not a Republican thing. And it fractures the party because there's guys like me that didn't sign up for that, and there's voters that didn't ask for that in campaign season. When you're the governor of the state and you're not out front leading this state, defending our rights, whether it's from the DEI and the diversity, equity, and inclusionary junk that's in our state government, in our schools, and our CRT, or leading the fight to protect kids from castration and mutilation, if you're hesitant about that fractures the party. We need a leader that's going to be bold and courageous about implementing Republican policies in this state. And for the past 6 years, under Mike Parson, we haven't had it. That has fractured the party. Don't underestimate the power of actual Republican conservative leadership. That is exactly what I'm going to provide as governor of this state. And when that happens, all of the things that seem very difficult now because Mike Parson isn't a leader are going to be big victories for the state of Missouri. And those, Greg Abbott, he's going to be waking up in the morning looking at Missouri saying, man, how do we become more like the Show Me State?
We got that News Talk STL Morning News Roundup coming your way here in just about 2 minutes and 48 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. You know, whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything, of course. It's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value, delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, one presidential candidate heads to the border, another heads to court again. Here we go again. Also, we now have illegal light bulbs here in the land of the free.
Uh-oh.
And the Cardinals put on a show last night at Busch Stadium.
Nice.
Boy, a lot of power was being shown.
Good.
All right, 5:52 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Testel Ponticus here. Donald Trump scheduled to appear in federal court today in Washington, D.C. He is asking for a change of venue. We'll see whether that happens or whether it helps one way or the other. This is going to be his first appearance in the latest indictment of him. This one, as everybody knows by now, tries to make the case that he's criminally liable for something because he contested the 2020 election. He's also being blamed for the January 6th riots at the Capitol, at least in part. And, of course, he's going to plead not guilty, and he's going to try to find a way to fit in all those different court appearances around the country in between his campaign rallies.
Yeah, his schedule's going to be busy.
I hope he's got a good admin assistant to keep track of all this stuff. By the way, the arraignment is scheduled at 3 o'clock our time, so 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Washington, D.C. time, which is pretty much right getting into the heart of the traffic jams, and so a former president driving around with a motorcade and Secret Service protection and media means that be glad that you're living in the partially abandoned city of St. Louis instead of the packed city of Washington, D.C., because that's going to be a nightmare for absolutely everybody.
Yeah, that's not going to cause many problems, is it?
Oh, none at all. Oh, geez. All right. Presidential candidate Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott, planning a trip to the southern border. Town Hall has the update for us.
Scott's campaign says he'll travel to the border Friday to witness firsthand the crisis brought on in part by President Biden's lax immigration policies. He'll travel to Yuma, Arizona, where, after a tour of the border, he'll be holding a roundtable with community leaders. The focus will be twofold. First, stopping the flow of illegals, and secondly, confronting the threat of Mexican drug cartels. In a statement, Scott characterized his concerns about the border, quote, "If you don't control your back door at your house, it's not your house. If you don't control your southern border, it might not be your country." Bob Agnew reporting.
And I'm just putting that in there just to remind everybody that there are candidates who are doing stuff other than battling, Department of Justice. So a lot of other candidates still out there saying stuff and doing stuff and talking about policies. All right, locally here, additional charges are filed against the man accused of shooting 2 Herman police officers, killing one of them in March. Kenneth Lee Simpson already faces first-degree murder, first-degree assault, and a firearms charge. Now, Attorney General Andrew Bailey's office has filed 5 additional criminal charges as well. Detective Sergeant Mason Griffin was killed in that shooting. Okay, just a quick update because, man, it's August already. It's back to school season. It seems like school just ended. The summer has absolutely flown by. Missouri's back-to-school sales tax holiday starts tomorrow. So here's how it works. State sales tax won't be charged on school supply purchases up to $50. So if you've got more than $50 to buy of school supplies, buy $50 at one place and then go to another place and buy $50 worth there, and then that way you can avoid the state sales taxes. That's also not going to charge state sales taxes on clothing and shoe purchases up to $100, and on most computer purchases and some computer accessories up to $1,500. Now, that sales tax holiday starts tomorrow. Like I said, it runs through Sunday on the Missouri side. It applies to both in-person and online sales taxes, and it's going to save you about 5%. And by the way, Stell, if you need some new shoes right now or new pencils, you can save the 5% too. Just
All right, I'll jot that down.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, 5% is 5%.
I went to Walgreens a few days ago, and by golly, there were all the notebooks and pencils and everything else ready to go.
'Tis the season.
It is.
And Illinois, to my knowledge, I don't think Illinois had a sales tax holiday this year. I don't think they do it anymore.
Have not heard anything about it.
And in some places, some local jurisdictions also are doing sales tax holidays, but fewer and fewer of those. So mostly it's just the state sales tax that's involved. Okay, Cardinals had a home run fest last night at Busch Stadium. Jeez, they were launching rockets all over the place. Tyler O'Neill, Jordan Walker, and Lars Nootbaar all hit dingers in the second inning alone. I mean, just balls were flying out of there like crazy. Alec Burleson added a home run in the third inning, and the Cardinals ended up winning 7-3 over the Minnesota Twins. Dakota Hudson picked up the win. Tonight's game starts at 6:45, so a lot of power being displayed there.
You know, it was interesting, besides the Cardinals game, the Cubs put up 16 last night after putting up 20, I believe, the day before.
Well, that's what happens when you play the middle school team from St. Mary's Junior High.
Well, they were playing the Reds.
Oh,
First place Reds.
Yeah, that's all right.
But I don't know what the Reds were doing.
Yeah, really.
As far as their pitching was concerned, because they left guys in, especially the first day. They left the starting pitcher in for 4 innings, and he got shellacked with 13 hits and 13 runs.
Yep.
Yow.
That's a managerial. Your guy's getting beat that bad. You're mad at him at that point. It's like, I'm going to ruin your career ERA, not just your ERA for this season. Man, 13 hits and 13 runs. No. Pitcher should be pulled way before that. That's ridiculous.
But good to see the Cardinals getting some hitting.
Yeah, getting there at least. Like I said, right now I think they're all just planning for next year. So I'll go out to a couple more day games over in St. Louis, but I'm going to go there, just kind of enjoy the ambiance, watch some baseball, snack on something I shouldn't be snacking on, and just kind of enjoy the game, especially as the weather cools off here in a little bit. Okay, just ahead, Donald Trump heading back to federal court in another case. We'll talk about that just ahead.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Security being tightened around a federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. ahead of former President Trump's appearance later today. Mr. Trump will be arraigned on the conspiracy and obstruction charges he faces for questioning the outcome of the 2020 election. The Trump legal team says the former president is being persecuted for exercising his constitutionally protected free speech rights. Mr. Trump calling for a change of venue for his trial. The former president does have his defenders. This prominent Republican from Arkansas is one of them.
Senator Tom Cotton told Fox News after skimming the indictment, it seems like what he called something that you'd get from an MSNBC producer for a special on that channel. The indictment charges Trump with conspiracy to defraud the U.S. over his claims of election fraud, costing him the 2020 election. Senator Cotton notes the former president's words and actions following the election were all constitutionally protected. Trump supporters say a string of indictments, this one being the third, is designed to keep the former president from reclaiming the White House in 2024. Bob Agnew reporting.
Look before you lock. Life-saving advice, especially in the hot weather, when youngsters can be left behind in a car with deadly results. Happened again the other day in New York. A 14-month-old died after 8 hours in the back of a sweltering vehicle.
If you've ever, had an important errand to run, like stopping to get milk on the way home and you've forgotten to do it, that is the same function of the human memory system that causes children to be unknowingly left behind.
Amber Rollins with the group Kids and Car Safety. Sentencing later today for Pittsburgh synagogue gunman Robert Bowers, with the jury recommending a death sentence. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures are down 50 points. NASDAQ futures off 51. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all know Joe Biden isn't getting the job done and too often is making things worse.
That's conservative business leader Doug Burgum, one of America's most successful governors. Raised with small-town values, Burgum built a billion-dollar company, creating thousands of jobs. As governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum cut taxes, balanced the budget, and helped pass term limits.
Where we come from, when something isn't working, you stop and you try something new. That's common sense. Joe Biden has got to go.
As president, Doug Burgum will unleash American energy and end Biden's inflation. He'll secure the border to stop the flow of illegal drugs. And Burgum will rebuild our military to win the Cold War with China.
Do you believe that the economy, energy, and national security are critical to our nation's future? Remember, that's why I'm running for president.
Best of America PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.bestofamericapac.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. Scattered rain and thunderstorms taper off early, but that's after, resulting in some flash flooding in a few spots outside of the St. Louis metro. It's cloudy this morning, a few breaks of sun this afternoon, turning muggy, a high of 86. Little to no rain expected this afternoon. A low chance of a shower or storm tonight, but mainly dry, down to 74. Friday, partly cloudy and warmer, up to 90 with a 20% chance of rain. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Mark McCloskey here, and my friend Mike Lindell and his team at MyPillow
are having a big sale to celebrate their 20th anniversary and the sale of over 80 million pillows. Mike and his team want to thank everyone by giving you the lowest price in their history. The MyPillow queen-size pillows that are regularly $69.98 are now just $19.98, and for just $10 more, you get a king size. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs to help you get the best sleep ever. Patty and I have slept on MyPillows for a long time, and we just got our new 2.0 pillows and a set of Giza Dream Sheets, and we love them. Go to MyPillow.com to get queen-size MyPillows for only $19.98 or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE. In addition to this special anniversary offer on the MyPillows, you will also receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE to unlock these savings.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president. We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Why don't you pop a squat, son?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Well, it's arraignment day again.
Again.
Arraignment day is kind of like Groundhog Day.
Yeah,
They just happen over and over and over again, and it all looks the same.
I was hearing "I got you, babe" kind of repeating in my head there.
Oh, jeez.
605, 605,
Exactly.
605, 605. Hey, it is 605.
It is 605.
Hey, look at that.
All right. Donald Trump has another court date today. I hope his scheduler is really good because there's a lot of these lately, and he's got other stuff to do. All right. Gabe's here. Stell's here. I'm Mike. All right. On the heels of Devin Archer's testimony before House Committee, he sits down with Tucker Carlson. Did you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Tucker Carlson drops an episode last night, and it's a one-on-one with Devin Archer.
Oh, wow.
So I've got a clip from that discussion. We'll listen to that at 6:20. All right. Okay, so Trump's in federal court today. He's going to plead not guilty to the latest indictments. Of course, this is the time when all of the cable TV news people get all the talking heads, and everybody feels like they must make a statement in response to this on social media and on the interwebs. They must do it.
Yes, you have to. You have to say something.
Just so everybody knows you really don't have to, but go ahead, knock yourself out if that makes you feel important. 45 pages if you want to print it out and read it yourself. Because I brought it up, on my computer, and I'm like, well, I'll just print it out here, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of pages. That's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
On there. So Donald Trump is expected to be in Washington, D.C. today to plead not guilty. It's going to happen. It's scheduled to happen, at least as of right now, about 3 o'clock our time.
Are they going to fingerprint him again?
I mean, he used to be on the payroll of the federal government. I'm pretty sure they've got the records.
They got a lot,
I think
sure.
they've got it. So I don't know. I mean, my guess is that this will be one of those get him in a secure door in the back of the building kind of thing. And, Secret Service arranging the. Man, can you imagine being the head of his Secret Service detail right now? What a nightmare that must be.
I would hate my job so bad.
Oh, jeez. But here's the thing: is there's not a lot that's new to say, and as a talk show host, I'm not supposed to say that, but there's not much that's new to say right now.
Right.
He's going to come in, he's going to plead not guilty, he's going to put out a statement in addition to what he's already said about saying it's election interference and it's all fake and it's trying to weaponize against his by his political opponents, and all of the other candidates in the Republican race have made their statements. Mm-hmm. Although I will say that what's a little bit different now is that all of them are saying, yeah, the Department of Justice is way out of control and this is clearly weaponized, but they're starting to diverge a little bit on Donald Trump himself, because I think a few of them are getting tired of basically being told, okay, you're running against him, but tell us whether you support him or not.
Yeah,
and they're like, I'm literally trying to compete against him.
It's like, here, present your defense of your opponent.
Right. Yeah. and they're starting to say he can defend himself. And
Right.
Trump's perfectly capable of defending himself.
Oh, gosh, yes.
But it's again a point where we've got a lot of other candidates who have something to say, who should be heard. I mean, when was the last time the name Larry Elder even went through our minds?
Oh, my gosh. Now I follow him on on Twix, and I saw one of his posts recently. I was like, oh, I remember this guy.
Right. I mean, everybody's getting swallowed up.
Yeah.
By this, and it's one of those just bizarre election cycles where we've got so many unusual things happening that Tim Scott has a lot of things to say who should be considered. Vivek Ramaswamy has a lot of things to say that should be considered. Matter of fact, we are going to talk about some of the things that Vivek Ramaswamy has to say that has nothing to do with Donald Trump in the 7 o'clock hour, because he has some really interesting observations I think it's worth talking about. Ron DeSantis has a lot of things to say that should be considered. I mean, you've got Nikki Haley, who's got a lot of things to say that should be considered. Some of the others are trying to work their way into that category as well, but they're just completely overshadowed, and it's almost hard to track and follow what the other candidates are doing. So if you're a casual observer, or you're not a political or news observer, and you're just getting overwhelmed with the news, you might be forgiven to not realize there are other candidates in the race right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's intentional. I think that's part of the deal of going after him so often, so hard, and in the timing that we keep seeing is that it like you said, it sucks the air out of the room when it comes to presidential politics at this point. So the primaries are essentially Donald Trump versus the federal government.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's really what it comes down to. And, there's going to be, when's that debate for the RNC sponsored debate that.
Now, I don't even know when that's supposed to be. I've heard discussions about it, that it will happen, that who's going to participate. I don't even know when.
Another week or two, I think, is when it's coming
Sometime
up.
here in August.
Yeah, it's like early August, so it's coming up here. It's one of those where Donald Trump has all but said, I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, well, hasn't he already said, definitely said, just like, I think I'll do something else?
Yeah, he's sort of denigrated it, and he's denigrated his opponents, but he's not going to be there. I disagree with that. The other candidates are at least going to be heard, but they're not going to be able to face off with Donald Trump the way that they're going to be able to face off with the others, while the RNC is looking for ways to filter out other candidates. And we got word over the last 24 hours that the RNC is saying, okay, we're going to do a second official debate, but we're going to raise the bar as to who can get into that. We are months away from the first primaries and caucuses. So if you are thinking about running for president and saying, well, I've got a year to do it, you're basically toast at this point, even if you would be a credible candidate who might have something to offer. So the RNC just once again proving it's essentially worthless.
This first one coming up, by the way, is Wednesday, August 23rd.
Okay, so for 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks from now. Yeah. So we're
it's coming fast.
Yeah, it really
it's going to be upon us before we know it. I guarantee you, by the time we actually kind of get in the realm of there, we're going to forget that it's going to happen. And then it's going to pop up, and we're like, oh, crap, I have to report on this. And that's us, right? We're plugged in. We're supposed to be in the know so that, we can provide you guys the information. And there's so much other stuff, other junk going on that's kind of cramming itself into the public sphere here that we're losing track of kind of some pretty important things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so I mean, it's going to be a good opportunity. There should be, the RNC, declaring that we want to be the sole source of debates for this race is absolutely wrong.
No, the way
that they're
dumb.
handling it,
that's
but
dumb.
it's what they're doing. Okay.
So there's a second one scheduled, by the way, September 27th.
Already?
That one we just heard about last 24 hours or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're talking about raising the standards, like the polling numbers and all that kind of stuff. I heard fundraising numbers and stuff. So essentially they're trying to whittle down who's on the debate stage early on, over a year before the freaking election.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot. I mean, now I understand the desire to whittle down the field because you don't want to split your attention among people who are absolutely not going to add anything to debate.
Yeah, but is that the RNC's job though? Is that their lane?
I would say yes because we're picking their leadership, right? I mean, because that's ultimately what we're talking about. The presidential candidate is kind of the de facto leader of the party.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, so then the GOP itself, the committee, should have a pretty large say in the manner in which that goes about. Now, I think that's why the leadership that we chose for the GOP is so important because there are some nuances there that they have power to do that it can make or break this whole process.
Yeah, and I think they're breaking it.
They're
participating in breaking it.
Yes.
But the DOJ is really breaking the process, right now.
Oh yeah, they are currently complicit in the breaking.
I have never seen a chain of events. None of us have seen a chain of events like this. I mean, and I hope that we never do. I hope we don't have something that is this chaotic. We just have all of the, we just have all of the debates and the fights and yes, the ad hominem attacks and everything that goes along with a primary season on both the Republican and Democratic sides. But you throw in what I think is a poorly outlined set of rules by the RNC that wants to keep complete control of it.
Yeah, they're squeezing a little too tightly here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one thing to have a hand on the process, which I think they have every right to do. I think it's actually their responsibility to have a hand on the process. But it seems as though they've got both hands and they're squeezing it like Lenny trying to try to show his love for the little bunnies.
Right, and great reference. By
Thank
the way.
you.
But yeah, I mean, so because at Fox News or Newsmax or some of the others, Daily Caller, Daily Signal, Heritage, if any of them wanted to have a debate, the RNC is trying to demand that either they co-sponsor or they have to give permission for the candidates. I think that's crap.
Yeah, that's
complete
a lot.
Crap.
That's a
they
lot.
should not have that much say in who gets to be heard on the debate stage. I understand that they don't want to do what the Democrats did in 2020 and have 15 or 16 people on the stage at one time. I understand that. But listen, if voters are interested in hearing from that many people, let the voters hear from the people. The candidates should be there to make their case and face off against each other in front of the voters.
What's a reasonable threshold, do you think? Like at least at this stage,
Yeah.
the first round, is it basically a free for all? Anybody who registers, anybody who's got any money in their bank account, anybody's got any polling, or is it like you gotta be 1%?
Yeah, see, 1% is what they've got right now. See, I would frankly, because the polling is such crap.
Yeah, you just pull the polling out
Right.
as a criteria.
Yeah, and I would pull the polling out. The fundraising thing is resulted in some really bizarre approaches. There are some people I've never heard of that I'm getting emails from. Donate $1 and I will send you a $20 gift card.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. Some guy I've never heard of.
So he's bribing people.
He's buying people's $1 donations so that he can cover one of the areas. So this must be some real rich guy somewhere.
Yeah, and I guess then that's because the criteria is set at the number of donors as opposed to the amount donated.
Right.
So
That's the number of donors. That's like 40,000 individual donors is what they're looking for, which is why they're all asking for $1 donation. But if you've got these sort of approaches, you look and you say, wait a minute, but you've got the possibility of Larry Elder not making it on the debate stage.
Mm-hmm.
How on earth are you going to say that he's not qualified to contribute to the conversation?
It's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, how is that possible?
Yeah.
How is any governor of a state not qualified to speak and contribute to the conversation? I've never heard of Doug Burgum before, he announced his campaign. I'm like, who's this guy? I don't know. He's the duly elected governor of a state, and it doesn't look like he's going to make it.
Yeah, I mean that's very interesting considering that at least some number of voters, at least locally, decided that he was the guy for a significant job in their state. So yeah, you'd think at least that level of support. I mean, I don't know, maybe sitting officials of some import is kind of like an automatic in, and then if you're kind of like a out of nowhere person like Vivek or Larry, maybe some other criteria. I don't know. I don't know how I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the line is, but I know it's got to be somewhere in between that and the guy who is tilting at windmills on Twitter and announcing his Twitter campaign for president.
I'm running for president.
You know, I had a few. You always have a few of those. You know, I had a vision. I'm going to be the. I'm going to.
Oh boy.
Jeez. All right.
Well, it goes from 1% to 3% for
Yeah.
the second one.
And of course, the polling, they even admit to 2 to 3% margins of errors. And I think it's a lot worse
So
than
it's
that.
within the margin of error.
The margin of error difference.
So, I mean, it's just I just think a lousy thing that the RNC is doing on these. Okay, just ahead here. Devin Archer goes from closed doors in a U.S. committee hearing to TV set with Tucker Carlson. Here, a part of that discussion right around 6:22 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Unfortunately, nothing happens in Washington. Who gives a damn? Do something about it or abolish the whole frickin' government.
You know what? We need some kind of, I don't know, thermometer. And when Nate's talking, it gets hotter and hotter until it just explodes.
Hey, I like that on the streaming platform. Yep. And it goes up and up and up.
Cartoon thermometer.
Yeah, and it explodes at the very top.
That's what we need.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. HomeWise with Michael Midget.
Hi there, Michael Midget here. Coming up this Sunday on HomeWise Radio, a common question when buying a home is how much should you put down? We all think we know the answer, but do we really? What if what you believe is wrong? What if there was a process that would give a better answer? Could you make a better decision? Join me this Sunday for this and more.
HomeWise, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Get more HomeWise at homewiseradio.com. Now, the Onder Prescription with Dr. Bob Onder.
I'm Dr. Bob Onder. Since it was enacted in 1987, Missouri's Sunshine Law has set the standard for openness and transparency in state and local government, with rare exceptions like discussion of litigation or contracts or personnel issues. Everything in government is open to the public. So it is disturbing that many school districts around our region are conducting some of their most important business involving the safety of our children and the authority of parents behind closed doors. They are calling so-called closed sessions to discuss or even enact policies to allow men and girls' bathrooms, allow children to change their names in schools without their parents' knowledge, teach girls how to bind their breasts, and referring kids for gender transition against their parents' wishes. Some of the superintendents, lawyers, and bureaucrats seem to think that they are in control and parents are a mere nuisance. It's the other way around, and if they don't follow the law, they should be fired. I'm Dr. Bob, and that's my prescription.
Find more Dr. Bob Onder at bobondermo.com. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight, but right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
It was a beautiful day, sun beat down.
Okay, so let's recap here. A U.S. House committee hearing took testimony of Devin Archer behind closed doors.
Right. I mean, it was immediately leaked.
Right.
But
It was testimony to people who could not wait to go out in front of cameras to tell us all about it.
Well, except for that one guy. He looked really uncomfortable in front of the camera. Because they were just talking about the weather.
Right. And then right after that, Devon Archer then sat down with Tucker Carlson.
And boom.
In front of all the cameras to discuss Hunter Biden's use of his dad's influence. We're going to hear part of that here in just a second. By the way, there are some kinds of light bulbs that are now illegal in America.
It's so wild.
So if you got your regular light bulb and it burns out, you gotta go with a government-approved light bulb from here on out.
I think that actually has an impact that you guys have not thought about, and we'll discuss it.
We are. At 6:35, we're going to talk about that. I mean, do you have illuminating contraband in your home?
You're committing light crimes.
That's right.
Kind of gives a different meaning to lighting one up.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the Biden administration's latest micromanagement of your life at 6:35. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell. It is, what time is it? 6:24 right now. All right, Devon Archer did a long-form interview with Tucker Carlson because out of nowhere, Tucker Carlson drops the latest episode of his new Twitter show, his new online show.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm reading it right, I think it said part 1. So I think there's more to it that's going to come. It was about 11 and a half minutes, something like that. So here's part of, I think, the main purpose, the main point that Carlson was going for in this discussion.
It's been reported, and you have said that there were occasions when Joe Biden would call in with clients present on a speakerphone.
Right.
How many times do you think that happened?
I mean, over a 10-year partnership, I would, the number I'm going with is 20. That's probably the amount that I kind of recall. Yeah, a lot, you could say.
So Joe Biden, who's very much a product of Washington, of course must have known that he was calling in to effectively a business meeting that his son was having. I mean, he must have understood that was kind of what his son was selling.
Well, that's hard for me to speculate on that.
But I guess my question, just to keep it to the facts, Joe Biden, then the sitting vice president, knew that there were Hunter's business associates in the room.
Yeah, I think I could definitively say at particular dinners or meetings, he knew there were business associates, and or if I was there, I was a business associate too. So I think, or if, any of the other colleagues from the DC office or the New York office were there. So yeah, at times there were. From the, to be, completely clear on the calls, I don't know if it was an orchestrated call in or not. It certainly was powerful though, because, if you're sitting with a foreign business person and you hear the vice president's voice, that's prize enough. I mean, that's pretty impactful stuff for anyone in the world.
It's been reported, and I know that it is true, that Hunter and his brother were very close to their dad.
Absolutely.
Which I think is great.
Yep.
I've got a lot of kids. I'm very close to them, talk to them every day.
Yeah.
Never called them on speaker during a business meeting. That's weird. You've got a lot of kids. You're close to them. Do you call them on speaker during business meetings?
Do I call?
I mean, what is that? A grown man calling his dad on a speakerphone during a business meeting?
Right, and to be clear, sometimes it was the call was coming in and the speaker would go on. So it's just the presence. You have to be, I mean, you understand DC, right? So the power to have that access and that conversation, and it's not in a scheduled conference call, and it's a part of your family, that's like the pinnacle of power in DC.
Access and power.
There it is.
So Carlson got what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Got what we needed to hear in that discussion.
If you hadn't already figured it out.
Right. Right. But the guy who was there who was saying, yeah, I mean, we're doing business. And they talked about business associates in the testimony. They also talked about possible business associate, which means possible investors or people to buy stuff or whatever. And the idea that, oh, hey, by the way, here's my dad. He's the vice president of the United States, showing that kind of access to Washington, D.C. And earlier in that conversation, they were talking about, yeah, when you power brokers, I mean, that's part of what you're selling. We've got somebody from one of our business partners or our clientele needs a quick visa to come in to do business and do a meeting, but they've got to come in next week and it takes longer. You call your friend at the State Department, you call your friend high up, and you get those things taken care of. That's where the conversation started to develop into this sort of fulcrum of the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other situation where you receiving a call from a close associate who happens to be a very powerful individual while during a business meeting is not a flex.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a commercial. Isn't there a commercial for a cell phone company or something like that? And the guy says, "Oh, hello, Your Majesty," and the lady he's talking to, in person there, she's like, "That's a flex."
Yeah.
And he says, "I'll call you back, Mom." But anyway, so yes, it's a flex when you're on the phone with somebody or they call you who is extremely powerful. Imagine I'm sitting in here talking about the story I want to produce as a movie, and then George Lucas calls me on my cell phone and I put it on speaker. "Oh, hey George, how's it going?"
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, Gabe, I was thinking about that one story you told me about. I think I might incorporate some of the things you got going there. All right, I'll talk to you later, buddy."
Or even, "Hey, how's it going? How's your daughter doing off at school? Hey, we got to go get coffee sometime."
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. It has nothing. It doesn't even have to do with the business at hand. Just the presence, just the voice, just that immediate access. That is a flex, and you know it. Everybody knows it.
We had talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's like a mafia meeting.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Sitting in a restaurant, the back of the restaurant.
He's like, "Oh, Don."
"Hey, Joey, come over here.
Come over here, give me a hug." It's like, mwah.
Right on the cheek.
Yeah, right on the cheek. It's like, yeah. She's like, "Hey, next time your mother makes those calzones, you gotta, oh gosh, that business deal goes a little differently than it would if that meeting had, if that greeting had not happened. It's the same thing,
Right, and that is what Devin Archer confirmed, not just in the testimony to the House, but in this very sort of personal. I mean, Tucker Carlson's got a way to get people to drop their guard.
Yeah,
a little
He's
bit.
very conversational.
Very-
It's like, come on, man.
and then when he pounces, he pounces.
Yeah. Yes.
But with this here, I mean, basically it was a shrug, and it was the brand, and that was a big deal to have the vice president help out. And so what he confirmed in a very nice, smiling way was, Hunter Biden was essentially, in part, at least selling access to Joe Biden.
And in relation to that, Dan Goldman, the Democratic representative from New York, his comment about, well, it's just an illusion. It's just an illusion.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's a mafia illusion, Mr. Goldman. That's how it comes down.
And it happens at almost all levels of business and in government everywhere.
Yes.
There's,
sure.
There's a reason people network.
Yes.
That makes a huge difference. There is an ethical way to do it, and there is an unethical way to do it.
Yeah, it's not what you know, it's who you know thing.
It's not even who you know, it's who knows you.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Hunter Biden is very much the
Right.
pinnacle of it's not what you know, because this man knows nothing except maybe, how much you can get for a pound of crack. And he managed to pull off deals that would be impossible for anybody else.
Right.
I wonder why.
Right.
Because normally in a situation like this, you would say, you know what, I'm in the middle of a meeting. Let me call you back in about 30 minutes, and if that's okay with you, and you move on. And that's not what happened.
I silence my phone.
Yeah.
I'm getting it can go to voicemail. Dad will call me. I can call my dad back.
Right.
I'm not picking up my cell phone in the middle of a rocket science meeting. Okay.
All right, just ahead. Do you have illegal light bulbs in your house?
Contraband.
Okay, they're grandfathered in right now, but
We got a bunch of them. Kathy went out and bought a bunch yesterday.
she could probably make some money illegally selling those. She's gonna walk around in a trench coat "Psst, you want a light bulb?" All right.
Do you get to still call it the black market if you could light it up that way?
That's a good question. All right, let's talk to one of the experts on energy and utilities and government regulation. He's not a fan of the Biden administration's micromanagement here. That's coming your way at 6:35 here at 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I felt so good, like anything was possible.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. Scattered rain and thunderstorms taper off early, but that's after, resulting in some flash flooding in a few spots outside of the St. Louis metro. It's cloudy this morning, a few breaks of sun this afternoon, turning muggy, a high of 86. Little to no rain expected this afternoon. A low chance of a shower or storm tonight, but mainly dry, down to 74. Friday, partly cloudy and warmer, up to 90 with a 20% chance of rain. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. The team that we have relied on many times over the years to rescue our home has a great special to celebrate the month of August. Book a cleaning now and mention the Colombo special, and you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can get $75 off an air duct cleaning to help relieve allergies and asthma and lower your energy bills. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the move.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Vicente Estrada, and he's from Cuba.
You know, there is a quota of what you can buy food-wise. You know, you can only buy so many eggs per month and so forth. People are suffering. I say that with tears in my eyes. People are suffering.
Stories of New Americans, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Thursday, and at 4:25, we'll speak with Dakota Wood from the Heritage Foundation on why Space Command is remaining in Colorado.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Illegal light bulbs. Let me just say that phrase again. Illegal light bulbs. That is the reality here in the United States, the land of the free.
It's kind of amazing.
That's literally a change that happened on August 1st. All right, by the way, just ahead here in about 15 minutes, we're going to give away a couple of pair of tickets, or we're going to give away a pair of tickets. We're going to give away a couple of tickets to see Mannheim Steamroller. They have one show in St. Louis this year. It's December 20th. It's at the Fox Theater, the Fabulous Fox. And if you are the right caller number at 650-ish, then you are going to get yourself a pair of tickets to see Mannheim Steamroller this December. What a great time here. Okay, there are new regulations that the Biden administration has put into place, literally regulating how you illuminate your house. Now, we were warned that this was coming, but they try to micromanage all sorts of things in our lives. But at this point right now, it is contraband if you try to sell an old-fashioned light bulb.
That's so stupid.
Light bulb.
Light bulb.
Ken Davis is a former Deputy Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and also you can see his writing in the Federalist. Extensive experience in utilities and energy sector, Real Clear Energy, and a lot of those other great websites. Ken, good to chat with you again. I'm trying to get my head around the fact that there is nothing too small for the Biden administration to try to micromanage in our lives, including what type of light bulb I screw into my socket in my house.
Nothing at all. Nothing is safe. You know, they came after gas stoves, furnaces, dishwashers, clothes washers, dryers, lawn care equipment, gasoline and diesel vehicles, air conditioners, on and on and on, and all of it in the name of advancing Biden's radical decarbonization and so-called energy efficiency agenda. No, there is no limit to it, no limit to their quest for power, control, micromanagement, and oppressive manipulation.
Okay, so Ken, this is part of the energy and the climate agenda. I mean, their argument is that it's an efficiency standard and that you can't have the old-fashioned light bulbs because the new ones have better energy efficiency. Therefore, it's the government's role to tell you what the standards must be for your energy. What if you just like the old light bulbs?
Well, that's where things should end up. I mean, look, the Department of Energy has been around for decades, And over the years and years ago, Congress passed a number of measures during periods of energy supply shortages and crises, giving the department authority to promulgate efficiency regulations that would help reduce the energy consumption of consumer products and industrial equipment, all in the name of addressing supply crises, shortages, Arab oil embargoes. None of that is the case now. The only restraint on the supply of energy to the markets and to our uses is the government itself. Now, this is an artificial, it's overreach. It's, I think, well beyond the statutory authority of the Department of Energy. The House Oversight Committee has already had hearings to grill DOE officials about their overreach in connection with the so-called energy efficiency standards for stoves and those other appliances. And I expect we'll see more of that, all with the aim ultimately and properly of defunding any DOE and other regulatory activities that are beyond the statutory authority of the DOE or any other regulator implementing those measures. No. It's this should not stand. I mean, look, LEDs, which is the only lawful light bulb going forward, LEDs have a purpose. They have a place in the market. I've got some LED light bulbs in my house, along with fluorescence in the workshop and incandescents all over the house. And I made the consumer efficient choice about which bulb for which application. And that's where the decision should rest with the individual consumer who has the information about their particular circumstances, not with some central command. I mean, they say the Secretary of Energy, Ms. Granholm, says that this will accelerate progress and deliver the best products to the American consumer. No, American consumers are the ones that decide which are the best products for them based on their individual circumstances.
Good morning, Ken. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I'm struggling to find any use for the Department of Energy anymore. Is there anything that they do that should be funded that would be in danger here, or would we just do well not to have one anymore?
Well, they, like a lot of government agencies, have grown well beyond their first and core and justifiable purpose. They have offices within the department that deal with the design and development of nuclear weapons and stockpiling of uranium and stuff like that. But so many of the things they're into now would be better left to the market. But that kind of paring back will only happen in an entirely different political atmosphere with a Republican in the White House and Republican control of Congress. You've got one House, and that's why, and that's the only reason we've had any oversight hearings to press the Department of Energy on the measures that they have taken. Because they were conducted by Representative Comer's Oversight Committee.
Good morning, Ken. Stel Ponticus here. I'm asking this question honestly, not sarcastically. Are we the only nation on the planet with this light bulb ban?
It's the only one that I know of.
Okay.
The left is quick to point out selectively in those cases where such and such a country has done this or done that, and we should follow them. I'm not aware of any such restriction, any such total outlawing, criminal outlawing. I mean, if you sell or manufacture after August the 1st an incandescent light bulb, hardware store, one aisle out of the drugstore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the retailers are subject to being fined by the federal government hundreds of dollars per bulb. Now, we should all go out after this program later today to our favorite hardware store and just check it out. But I'm afraid that you will not see any incandescents. They've been around since the 1800s, and they do serve in many applications a useful economical purpose.
We're visiting with Ken Davis, who is a former Deputy Attorney General for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And Ken, somebody may say, you know what, we have standards on all sorts of things for efficiency when it comes to energy of all kinds. What's the big deal? It's just a light bulb, and you know what? We'll get used to it. We'll still be able to see our way down the hallway. It's just a different bulb. Why does this matter so much? What's the bigger picture as to why we should react to an administrative change to tell us which light bulbs we cannot buy?
Well, because the continuation of free government and self-government and the continuation of the arrangement as it is supposed to be, that is, the people are sovereign and the government is accountable to the people, and the government answers to the people and does not mandate and direct them. The government simply exercises the people's will. If we do not actively, in every case, push back against each little nibble, if we just accept it, which is what they count on, then we may at first be able to see our way down the hall, but when we get to the end of the hall, it'll be dark in the fullest sense of the term. And so we need to complain, and in this case, elections have consequences. You need to thank your Republican representatives in those cases where you have them, and complain to the Democrat representatives, because this, like the gas stove push months ago, this could generate a lot of pushback, and when it does, they will at least temporarily relent. You remember they said, "Oh, no, we're not banning gas stoves," despite the clear statement from the head of the Consumer Product Safety Commission that was a real possibility. No, they test. They're constantly testing. It's like pressure. We have to lean back into it.
All right, Ken, people want to follow your research, your writing, your commentary. What's the best way?
Well, this is just one example of the lawlessness, the unconstitutional, unstatutory lawlessness of the so-called progressive left. I've got a book on this, Revolution, as in the American Revolution, called Push Back the Lawless Left and Restore the Promise of America. It's available on Amazon Books. Revolution.
All right. Ken Davis, former Deputy Attorney General of Commonwealth of Virginia. Good talk to you again, Ken. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, guys.
All right, just ahead here, let's give away a couple tickets to see Mannheim Steamroller in December, and also an eviction. St. Louis police are evicting a resident from St. Louis.
Oh, no.
Yes.
What happened?
It wasn't perfect fit anymore.
Okay. Yikes.
Yeah. It's sad.
Aw.
I'll tell you about it right around 6:50 on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Next thing.
She was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
Attention, all St. Louis City voters. Join us this Thursday as St. Louis City election officials are giving a public demonstration of the new voting machines and learn more about future elections. Empower yourself as a voter and see how your vote is counted accurately and efficiently. Rally your friends and head to 3710 Hampton on August 3rd at 7 p.m. for this exciting event. Let's unite as St. Louis City voters and embrace the future of democratic elections.
Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
In a world where heroes walk among us, shines the David Dorn Foundation. Named after a true hero, our foundation empowers those who risk their lives to protect us every day. We stand tall with unwavering dedication to provide our first responders with equipment often not supplied.
But we can't do it alone. We need your generosity of a few volunteer hours to provide our first responders with the tools they desperately need to save lives and keep our communities safe. Visit dornfoundation.com now to be part of our critical progress.
Facts don't matter. Lies don't matter. You or I lie, we go to jail. She lies.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
You know, it's just part of the business. President lies, it's part of his business. Joe Biden couldn't tell the truth if he could remember it. And then you got Hunter Biden, you know, because he's a drug addict, because he's a gun criminal, because, you know, posts pictures of himself with hookers and crack pipes and all that kind of stuff. Now that makes him somehow wonderful.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s New Country streaming now. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's Stifel.com.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Let me tell you about the eviction of Felony, the feline.
Oh, there's a feline.
A feline.
eviction.
It's a little putty tat.
Aw.
Yeah. St. Louis police get rid of a cat that's become kind of a mascot of sorts. Kind of sad.
Of course they would.
It's kind of sad.
Of course they
Okay,
would.
I'm gonna give you the facts, and you can decide whether it's really their fault or not. Because the police officers do not want to evict the cat. They literally built the cat a cat house.
Aw.
Not that kind of cat house.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
built the cat a pet house.
Yeah.
Right there for it to live in, and now they're being told they have to evict the cat after like 6 years.
The heck?
I know. I'll explain. All right.
Man.
All right. I think it's time to do it. I think it's time to give away some tickets.
Let's go.
Mannheim Steamroller is coming to St. Louis on December 20th. One show only at the fabulous Fox Theater. This is going to sell out. Tickets just went on sale a couple days ago. But we've got a pair of tickets to give away right now. If you are caller number what, Stel?
5 again.
5 again to 314-912-1019. Caller number 5 right now gets a pair of tickets. And by the way, if you go to newstalkstl.com, we are giving away tickets there and a prize pack to the Mannheim Steamroller Show. So check that out as well. But if you're the right number caller right now, you are going to end up with those tickets in your hand.
I put our Christmas decorations up last night, by the way.
Shame on you.
Oh,
Rachel, Stel, stop it.
You're having flashbacks
My
over there.
wife does it. She would. Oh, goodness. All right.
Way too early. Huh?
All right. Phones are. All right.
Well, we still have the tree up from last year.
Well, that's just not take. That's just. It's either working smart by not putting it down or it's just lazy. All right, 314-912-1019. We're going through those calls right now. Okay, check this out. This is kind of sad. Okay, so back in 2017, a stray cat sort of started hanging around the St. Louis Police Department's North Patrol Division.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all kind of like the cat. Apparently, it's got a good disposition.
Sure.
And they named the cat Felony.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. That's cute.
And so they actually I say they, I mean the officers and the staff there, they actually built a little house on the outside for the
so
cat. So the
cute.
cat started living, out there. And
Why
then,
not? And they're feeding her.
Yeah, and
you know.
apparently, the cat would, come in and get scritches or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
And now they've been ordered to get rid of the cat.
Now, who is issuing an order like this? Like, what is the purpose?
Okay,
Why?
here's why.
Okay.
Because apparently there have been a few people, or a couple of people, or a few people who have had allergic reactions to the cat.
Oh, dang it.
Yes,
Okay, all right. I kind of get it. But,
So the custom-made house outside the station where the cat has lived for 7 years.
7 years.
It has to go. So in an internal email that our friends at KSDK got a hold of, Acting Major Donnell Moore wrote, I'm going to quote here, because apparently this cat's really popular. They like this cat.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And so the supervising officer here has to make this really clear. No, this isn't just you got to get rid of the cat.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I expect compliance with this directive without question or hesitation. Our community service and protection are of paramount importance, and it is essential that you fully understand the gravity of the matter at hand. I am repeating myself. The station mascot, Felony, is not allowed entry into our premises. This decision addresses a pressing issue that demands immediate attention. And this because of the allergic reactions.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Felony has to stay outside in her little house.
No, Felony has to go.
Like at all, like
Yeah.
entirely?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
That order sounds like you just don't let her inside.
Yeah. So it says later on, the letter says, do not waste time dwelling on sentimentality. This decision has been made in the best interest of everyone involved. It says complaints or resistance will not be tolerated. Our focus should be maintaining a productive and efficient workplace, free from unnecessary distractions and health complications, and like threatening consequences if you drag your feet on this.
Wow.
So they have found a
Jeez.
they have found a home.
Okay.
For the cat. So the cat's going somewhere. But
Okay.
probably what's going to happen is that cat's going to find its way back to where it's been used to.
Well, yeah.
The
7 years.
Yeah, October 2017, they tweeted out that they welcomed the cat to the patrol and posted a picture of the house. And then in December 2017, the police department tweeted about how the cat's house was decorated for the holiday, and the words were, trespassers will be persecuted, along with a picture of the cat. So this has been a mascot and a part of like the police family up there. But, somebody had allergic reaction, so the cat's got to go.
I don't know. If the cat's been there for 7 years, you have to take an antihistamine. He's like, that's the cat's house now.
That's what I would do.
The cat lives there. You're a guest.
We have a winner still?
Yeah, we do. Congratulations to Joanne Wilmess of Forestel. She
All right.
wins 2 tickets to see Mannheim Steamroller December 20th.
Thanks, Jo. You said Joanna?
Joanne.
Joanne. Thanks, Joanne. Really appreciate you being part of News Talk STL, and enjoy the show when you see Mannheim Steamroller.
We all know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way that restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your health care. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A big thank you from former President Trump. He says he has seen an outpouring of support following his latest indictment at the hands of the Biden Department of Justice, facing obstruction and conspiracy charges for openly questioning the results of the 2020 election. His lawyers say it's all about political free speech. Correspondent Eric Tucker says Mr. Trump has a court date in D.C. this afternoon.
This arraignment is going to take place before a federal magistrate, and that's important because that's going to be different than the trial judge who's going to be overseeing the case moving forward. So a magistrate is the one who oversees that initial appearance, and she's expected to honestly accept the not guilty plea on Trump's behalf.
House Republicans Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene pushing to defund the office of Special Counsel Jack Smith. Sentencing today, and it could be a death sentence for the gunman who killed 11 people in a 2018 massacre at a Pittsburgh synagogue.
Doris Diane survived the massacre at the Tree of Life Synagogue. After the jury recommended a death sentence for 50-year-old Robert Bowers, she summed up her emotions.
Relieved, very relieved, and sad that this was what needed to happen.
It stands as the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history. U.S. Attorney Eric Olshan offered this view.
The evidence in this trial proved that the defendant acted because of white supremacist, anti-Semitic, and bigoted views that unfortunately are not original or unique to him.
Sound courtesy WTAE-TV. I'm Ben Thomas.
The downgrading of the U.S. government's credit rating has shaken Wall Street, which could see more heavy losses today. Fitch Ratings says massive debt, one of the reasons for the downgrade. Dow futures are off 70 points, and the NASDAQ futures down 70 points as well. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Miss Prager here. Sue and I mean it when we say dogs are part of our family, and there's nothing like their loyal companionship. So we provide them with Rough Greens, RUFF, because we want them to feel healthy and be with us as long as possible. I know Charlie Kirk feels the same way.
The Pragers and I couldn't agree more. I rely on my trusted furry friend, Mr. Briggs, who's an absolute machine, and he relies on me to provide what's best for him. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black has packed Rough Greens, not a dog food, but a supplement full of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, and omega oils that Mr. Briggs absolutely needs and loves. Trying Rough Greens for your dog just makes sense.
Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here. I'm honored that the Praegers and Charlie trust their dog's health to Rough Green. I'm so confident that Rough Green can help your dog too that I'm offering you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Yes, dog food is dead food, but it doesn't have to be. Go to ruffgreens.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. Scattered rain and thunderstorms taper off early, but that's after resulting in some flash flooding in a few spots outside of the St. Louis metro. It's cloudy this morning, a few breaks of sun this afternoon, turning muggy, a high of 86. Little to no rain expected this afternoon. A low chance of a shower or storm tonight, but mainly dry, down to 74. Friday, partly cloudy and warmer, up to 90 with a 20% chance of rain. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
They came from every corner of the country, from small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines, a tough and determined few dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still, they come. Celebrate the history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Let me tell you about Window World. As a matter of fact, they're sponsoring this hour. When they say the best for less, key in on two words there. The best. Double strength glass windows. Secondly, lifetime warranty and amazing customer service. I don't know that I have met a group of people who are more passionate about customer service. I mean, they are really proud of their reviews on the Better Business Bureau. They're really proud of their views on Yelp. They're really proud of the fact that they have so many people who have not only installed their windows, 70,000 customers in St. Louis alone, but also that they have referred their friends and family. They get a lot of business because somebody is so happy with those windows, so happy with that customer service. They go out of their way to say, you're going to get windows, you got to call these guys. Who does that? It's Windows. And you may think, just go get windows. But no, there is a massive difference. By the way, Mike Ferguson here for Window World, simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. These Window World windows are so durable. And I mentioned they stand behind them. They will bring them out to your house and let you stand on top of them. I am a 220-pound guy, okay? Well, 215-pound guy. I'm a big guy. And I stood on top of these windows. Nothing happened. No creaking, no cracking, no nothing. And that window is in somebody's house right now because it was waiting to go out there. That's how strong they are. If anything happens, you've got a lifetime warranty covering all parts, glass breakage, and labor. You cannot go wrong. And here's the best part. Not only is it less expensive up front, it's going to save you money on your utilities because it's going to improve the thermal efficiency of your home. And you never have to worry about replacing them because of that lifetime warranty. So get your free in-home estimate. They offer 18-month savings cash financing with approved credit. You can learn more at windowworld.com, but the best thing to do is get your questions answered by calling them at Earth City at 314-993-1800. They will come out to you and show you what they can do for you and your home. Once again, 314-993-1800. Window World is the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. Once again, 314-993-1800.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
The ACLU is suing a Missouri school district because it won't allow a boy into the girls' bathroom. How many times have we heard something like this? In situations like this, you know that the ACLU is going to be on the wrong side of everything. The only thing that surprises me here, guys, is that there is a school district that's still hesitating on allowing boys into girls' bathrooms. So what's the bigger picture? We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. By the way, if you have nothing to do going on tonight, or you want to learn more about how the voting systems, we're not talking about the laws and stuff, but the actual machines and how people are going to be voting, that's going to be demonstrated tonight at the St. Louis City Republican meeting. Matter of fact, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be speaking at that meeting tonight, not on the voting machines, but on some other things as well. So go to the website of the St. Louis City Republicans, and you can find the meeting date and time. It's 7 o'clock tonight. It's just off Hampton at the Police Officers Union's building. So I'm going to be there tonight. Love to see you come out and say hi and see the work that they're doing out there. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here coming up on 7:09, joined by our friend Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation. And Daryl, let me start with this. I saw this article, I think it was in the Lion, in your newsletter. Mm-hmm. ACLU is suing a Missouri school district because a boy wants to go into a girl's bathroom. And the ACLU can't seem to make up their mind on a couple things on this, though. How are they kind of contradicting themselves? And we're going to obviously tie this into why it's so important for parents to be empowered to protect their kids. But this is just a bizarre situation.
Yeah, it really is. It's, on one hand, it's more of the same. I mean, you referenced it. The ACLU is certainly involved in trying to muddle and mix up and bring confusion and make things gray because, wickedness and evil thrives in confusion. That's for sure. But what's interesting about this whole thing is, kudos to the Platte County School District and their school board, who said, you know what, we have we have transgender bathrooms, we have male bathrooms, and we have female bathrooms. And you can use the transgender bathrooms, or you can use the ones the bathrooms based on your sex defined at birth, and so there was a transgender student who wanted to use the female restroom and had been suspended over it, and the ACLU has jumped in and said, hey, you can't do that. They need to be able to use whichever bathroom, and they're citing Missouri law. And the hypocrisy, the twist that you referenced, is that the Missouri law has never identified sex as gender identity or sexual orientation. It's always been defined by the Missouri Human Rights Law as biological sex at birth. And here's the kicker. The ACLU knows this because they tout that for the last 20 consecutive years, they have sought to have that definition in that law changed, and that they have been unable to do it. So now they're bringing lawsuit against the school district over what they say is violation of the Human Rights Act, but they know that it's not a violation of the Human Rights Act because they've tried to have it redefined and have been unable to do so for 20 consecutive years.
Good morning, Daryl. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So it sounds again like one of these tactics, and I keep bringing this up because I think it's important. Where the Democrats, the left, the people who want to change our institutions, they keep doing these things in order to drag the various advocacy organizations into court and force them to fight, force them to spend a whole lot of money fighting battles that we didn't think we'd ever even have to get into.
Right. Yeah, it's true. It's a tactical ploy, to change institutions. And it's really the fundamental, I mean, when you look at all of these strange new definitions that are happening in Western society, it all comes down to that truth is not absolute, that truth is relative to what you see as truth. And as long as you believe it to be true, then, everybody else needs to honor that, respect that. But the challenge in living in a society is then there are no societal norms that are agreed upon by the whole of society. And there's a great move, sweeping through, philosophy of what is truth. And there are absolutes.
Good morning, Daryl Stalponticus here. Speaking of philosophies and truth, the ACLU was founded, I think, back in 1920. And contrary to popular opinion, I was not around for that event. but I have lived through about 70 years of the ACLU.
Well,
and it's,
there you go. Sure.
It's a lot different from the ACLU that I remember from the 50s and 60s when I was a kid. Right. What in the world has happened to them?
Well, what has happened to so many institutions, across the country? I mean, how many, institutions? I mean, here's the reality. So many hospitals were founded and established by the church. So many places of institutions of learning and higher learning were established by the church, right? But they have, through the course of time, continued generationally to lean left.
Just look at the Ivy League schools. Yes, you're right.
That's yeah, absolutely right. And so today in 2023, the church is the bad guy. The church is the hater. The church hates people. And yet, okay, whatever. It's, I relatively disagree with that. So you have to respect my truth.
Oh yeah,
that I disagree that the church is a hater.
Yeah, thanks Oprah for that my truth and your truth thing.
Oh yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're visiting with Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation. Let me look. You guys have a project called the School Box. And I know that this is, I think the last time we talked, you were pretty excited because this was so popular nationwide, but now this is going outside of America's borders. And so I want to touch on that, but let the Christian schools know, the parochial schools know in this area that this tool is accessible to them, because I actually just read an article that there are a couple of new Christian schools coming to the St. Louis area as well that are being founded. So there's clearly a big demand for this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really it's a humorous anecdote, but my youngest daughter and her husband and 3 children had opportunity to move back from Georgia to Kansas City, but they were going to put their kids in the Christian school. They couldn't get in. My daughter cried in tears and says, "I can't get my kids in the Christian school. Do you know anybody there?" Well, as a matter of fact, it turns out I'm the president of the Herzog Foundation. So I called the head of school. I'm telling you, Mike, I couldn't get my kids in the Christian school. They said, "Daryl, we're full. I mean, if we have any cancellations, your grandkids are in, but we're full." That's being experienced by Christian schools across the country. And in this culture, the answer cannot be, "Well, we know you want Christian school, but unfortunately we're full. You can't have any." And that's why we established School Box and started this online platform where concerned families, churches, groups of people, neighborhoods can launch a Christian school. What's accessible to you? What's affordable for you? I mean, there are literally one-room schoolhouses that are popping up all over the country. We're creating some of those through School Box, by the way. There are 5-day-a-week schools. There are hybrid schools where it's 3 days with a teacher in a building and 2 days as homeschool. And it's an incredible, there's just such an entrepreneurial spirit in education that, frankly, that's why the public school, system is so afraid of education choice, because they have had the monopoly. Their system, the test scores, their product is not appetizing or attractive to parents, and here are options through School Box where you can actually launch the kind of school in your state that you want to put your kids in. And we're very excited about it. Our dollars pertinent to Stan Herzog's directive are only to be used for the United States, K through 12 Christian education in the United States. And so as a part of School Box, so if the 4 of us decided we wanted to start a Christian school in St. Louis, Schoolbox would help us do that. But then once we as a launch group told the Herzog Foundation that this is the kind of school we want, then the Herzog Foundation, through our vast network of educators, would find somebody who's currently running that kind of school, and the foundation will pay that head of school to coach our launch team through the process to a successful launch. Well, across countries' borders. By the way, remember when we used to have borders? Wasn't that cool? Those were good times. But when schools now across borders are saying, hey, we love what you're doing with Schoolbox. Can we launch, for example, schools in Canada? Our board has said, you know what, we can't pay for their mentor, but if there's a group there that wants to mentor those schools, they can absolutely use Schoolbox. So we've got schools literally that are being launched through this online platform in Canada, in Africa, and believe it or not, in underground churches in communist China. They're launching Christian schools, and they're using the Herzog Foundation Schoolbox as the platform to make it happen.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize, or maybe we understand it in concept, but the reality is to do that in China is a life-risking decision.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. These are the heroes that are taking on the status quo. And, there's a degree to where all of us, need to step up and have our voices be heard. And certainly in underground China, that's going on every day.
Yeah, so the Christian schools here in the St. Louis area, if they haven't already made contact with you, they really should, because you do have resources that they're able to use and tap into as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing a lot of training for administrators on how to run a small business. So many of them, have got a great education background. They understand pedagogy and how to manage a classroom. But when they're promoted then to be, the head of the school, they're promoted to, okay, now you're in charge of running the small business, and typically they've not had any education in that. So we do pretty intensive trainings that we make available for no charge to Christian schools, those leading them. For administrator training, we're also doing a lot of teacher training. We're now stepping into organizational training in terms of, is your facility fortified against intruders? Welcome to 2023. So these are the kinds of services that we provide existing Christian schools, and HerzogFoundation.com. Folks can find out all of the initiatives that we've got going on, certainly across the country and now around the world.
All right. Congratulations on that. HerzogFoundation.com. And, of course, I always recommend people subscribe to The Lion to get your weekly update as well. Really fascinating articles in there every week.
Guys, great talking to you. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thanks a lot. Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation. All right. Just ahead here, he mentioned, kind of touched on a lot of those, what the ACLU used to be, and you mentioned that too, Stel. They used to be stalwarts of freedom of speech, would defend it for just about anybody.
Back in the day.
That's not so much. Vivek Ramaswamy had some really fascinating observations regarding freedom of speech, not just as a concept, but not as a partisan issue, but why it matters in so many other applications. We're going to hear from him just ahead. A couple clips from what he had to say. Really worth talking about right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Larry Connors, USA.
People are saying nobody's threatening this guy's life just because he has some information on the Bidens.
Larry Connors.
If you were in his position, would you feel safe?
Weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
I don't have to tell you, it's hot time summer in St. Louis, so why the heck are you still dragging those hoses around your yard? Tim Jones here for Professional Irrigation Systems. They will do a residential irrigation install in one day, custom irrigation designs for every property. We made that decision years ago. We've never regretted it. Irrigation installs improve your curb appeal. They also have got landscape lighting and fertilization packages as well. Make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. 636-692-4441, 24/7 at proirrigation.com. That's proirrigation.com.
Colombo and Katie.
First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning.
Shouldn't you have something prepared?
This is her prepared.
Opening up the book, your book?
Is it. It's either that, you're getting talked to like you're 3, or she just rambles on about absolutely nothing and makes no sense whatsoever.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic, and I'm here with Kathy Connor at Connor Roofing. Kathy, what makes Connor Roofing different?
Hey, Vic. I'm glad that you asked. I think that what really sets Connor Roofing apart is our relationship with our customers. It's very important to us to develop that trust with the homeowner. This is what has allowed us to serve our friends and our neighbors in the St. Louis area for 30 years. Whether we are doing a roof or a gutter repair or even a full replacement, you can count on Connor for quality service and workmanship.
Thanks, Kathy. To find out more, visit them at connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Fox News commentary.
Donald Trump has been indicted once again, and once again, convenient timing. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Starting August 22nd, the U.S. dollar may have new competition from a new global supercurrency backed by Russia and China. And if the dollar plummets, your retirement could follow. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. I encourage you to act. Before August 22nd, text SHELTER to 989898 to get your free information kit on gold now.
Trump has been indicted again for the 3rd time on 4 counts related to liberal Christmas, January 6th, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Y'all noticing a pattern here? Every time new and damning evidence surrounding the Biden crime regime is exposed, the justice system conveniently decides it's time to switch the headlines and heat to Donald Trump. But meanwhile, Democrats and media hacks would have you believe the big guy, the brand, Joe Biden, was on speakerphone over 20 times with Hunter's business associates just to talk about the weather. I'm no meteorologist, but it sounds like cloudy with 100% chance of BS. But conveniently, the media has turned to full Trump indictment coverage again. They use this as an excuse for not covering the actual criminal activities of the Biden crime regime. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Vivek Ramaswamy had some interesting takes on the White House's collusion with social media companies to stifle dissent over the past few years. And don't think this is just another one of those, the conservative guys going after the Biden administration. We got to be aware of this regardless of who's in office, Republican or Democrat, because I am worried about kind of a growing big government movement within the Republican Party, within the conservative movement. There can be a thing such as a big government conservatism, and I think we need to keep an eye on that. So when we talk about the free speech issues here in just a second, I'm not just picking on one side here. Mm-hmm. This is about the principles, but also about the effect of abandoning those principles. And Ramaswamy had a couple things to say. I thought, you know what, that's worth talking about. So we'll do that here for a couple of minutes.
All right.
By the way, golfers. Hey, golfers.
Mm-hmm.
Our friends over at Anton's HVAC and Heating and Cooling, they are hosting a golf tournament on the 26th. And this is, they have actually set up a nonprofit called Anton's Heroes Golf. And I'll give you the website here in just a minute. So on the 26th, and they still do have room for a few more teams. If you want to get in there, it's going to raise money for Anton's Heroes, and that helps take care of first responders and military veterans as well, doing what they can do, keeping them out of dangerous heat and dangerous cold situations, and helping to provide for them in their homes. So AntonsHeroesGolf.com. It's going to happen at Forest Park Golf Course on the 26th. I would go to that website quickly if you want to put a team together for that. But it's not just a golf, not just a golf tournament. Complimentary lunch and dinner. They do have a kind of a goodie bag for everybody. They are going to have golf pong, whatever that is, in addition to the actual golf. A raffle, silent auction, prizes for the longest drive, prizes for closest. It's just going to be a lot going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So check out AntonsHeroesGolf.com in order to get involved with that or just learn more about it. All
Good
right.
cause there.
Yep, it is. All right, real quick here, because I know we're going to talk some elections and election security and making sure your vote counts right here in the St. Louis area here in a few minutes. Vivek Ramaswamy was on. He was on with who was it? It was Fox News at Night. And he was talking about, First Amendment rights. Of course, where this came from was a conversation, about the now documented communication between the White House and the meetings with social media companies about which stories they didn't like, which dissent, which narratives they didn't like, and why that matters. And Ramaswamy did not just take sort of that partisan approach to it, because what he says here you could apply to both sides equally.
The reality in this country is that the path to truth, it runs through free speech and open debate. That is why we have a First Amendment. I do not think we would have run into those and rushed into those vaccine mandates as quickly if we had been allowed to debate the facts in the open.
Okay, so that's a fair point, because now we look back and go, ooh, yeah, we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's one thing to encourage or put out the information, but there were a lot of rules and mandates and orders that were made by Republicans and Democrats alike. Remember, Mike Parson issued a stay-at-home order.
Sure did.
And when you have a lot of dissent that is silenced on the most popular platforms, it did lead to some decisions, or contributed to some decisions that we should not have tolerated in this country.
And we're living with a lot of negative consequences because of those.
And he went on to follow up on that.
The government is using private companies like Facebook to do through the back door what government could not do directly through the front door under the Constitution: censor politically disfavored speech.
Okay, so keep this experience in mind in the future emergencies, whatever those are. Anytime somebody's talking about who's going to be on the, quoting, the right side of history debates.
Right.
Remember now, the precedent has been set. The precedent has now been set. And so here's the weird thing, Gabe. The burden of proof when it comes to squelching dissent is now on us who make the case for freedom of speech.
It's amazing how things have changed so quickly. It used to be very much a kind of, an American standard understanding that, hey, we have to be able to say things that might make other people uncomfortable in order for us to actually probe a bit and get to the truth of the matter, right?
Right. And my guess is that in the future, it's not going to matter whether we're talking about a Democrat or a Republican in power. We're going to have to aggressively guard this fundamental right.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, once the genie's kind of out of the bottle, essentially, and from a government standpoint, once a power is acquired, particularly by the executive, let alone the legislature, it doesn't matter what the letter is behind that name. They can and will use that power in a way that is not good in general, and certainly not good for their opponents.
Right. And so I thought he made some really interesting points. We would not have rushed into some of these things had full dissent been allowed.
Yeah.
Had the argument, had the debate, had the chaos, if you will, of people disagreeing over whether it was a mandate, over whether it was, whatever the case is.
Whatever policies
whatever policy we're talking about, whatever decisions you want to talk about, if that were allowed to happen fully, would we have come to a different conclusion? I don't know. Maybe. I think he might be right. We wouldn't have rushed into some of these things, and we wouldn't be regretting a few things. There wouldn't be people trying to save face right now because we would have been able to sort of flush these out in more depth. But it's just a reminder to me that it's not just about the concept of I get to say stupid or offensive things if I want to.
Right.
It's a matter of if you suppress ideas, opinions, and dissent, whether you're suppressing a liberal one or a conservative one or a libertarian one or a freaking communist one, it doesn't matter. What you are doing is you are not allowing people to fully consider all the options and perspectives, and that is why the right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression, freedom of religion is so crucial. And every once in a while, we need a reminder across the board.
Oddly enough, like the one of the sharpest aspects of that displays the importance of having all of the information on the table is the idea of informed consent from a medical perspective, right? So if I know all the facts, then I can make an informed decision. If you don't present me all of the facts, you have actually violated my rights. You've actually done something to me. It works the same way in the larger cultural, political landscape.
All right, let's follow up on this in the 8 o'clock hour. Just ahead here, voting. We are always in an election cycle.
Yes.
There's no off season anymore.
Yes.
All right. Tonight you can get a demonstration of how the voting equipment works. Some of it may be new to you. We're going to find out about that here in about 3 minutes on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. Scattered rain and thunderstorms taper off early, but that's after resulting in some flash flooding in a few spots outside of the St. Louis metro. It's cloudy this morning, a few breaks of sun this afternoon, turning muggy, a high of 86. Little to no rain expected this afternoon. A low chance of a shower or storm tonight, but mainly dry, down to 74. Friday, partly cloudy and warmer, up to 90 with a 20% chance of rain. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Everybody has a right to have their opinion and voice their opinion.
Live and local.
I always approach it from this standpoint. Leftist malfeasance is presupposed.
This is News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Okay, you decide who to vote for, and that should really be the end of your decision when it comes to voting. You shouldn't have to worry about your vote being counted correctly. Can we all agree on that? We can all agree on that, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Don't forget, News Talk STL's weekly new weeknight lineup starts on Monday. This is going to be a lot of fun. People were saying more Larry Connors.
Yeah, they were out in front of the building with like
I know,
signs
I'm
and they
telling
were
you.
throwing
It's
stuff.
like,
I don't know,
yeah.
it got wild.
It just got crazy. So we're like, all right. Don't get violent on us.
There you go.
All right. So Larry Connors, starting on Monday, expands to 2 hours.
Yep.
So from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, Joe Pags then will be on at 8 o'clock. And then after that, Ben Shapiro joins the News Talk STL
Making
lineup.
his debut.
Yep. He starts Monday right here on News Talk STL. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And facts don't care about your feelings.
That's right. All right, in the studio here tonight at the St. Louis City Republican meeting, going to be, first of all, the speaker, the starting speaker is okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
He's all right.
You might have heard of him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Because I'll be speaking at the meeting tonight, around 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that guy.
But then a little bit later on, there's going to be a demonstration of the voting equipment that's happening in St. Louis City because we have so many questions and there's so much talk about the actual votes themselves. Now, we're not talking about the newish voting system of like the ranked choice voting. We're not talking about those policies. We're talking about the actual vote, the ballot going into the machines, being counted, making sure that the votes as they are cast are accurately counted. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Equipment, logistics, process, all that stuff.
And something unusual is happening is that the Republicans and Democrats in the city are coming together to say, let's make sure we get it right. Whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses, loses. But let's get the voting right. Mary Teresa McLean from the St. Louis City Republican Party is here, as is Ben Borgmeyer, who is the City Election Board Democratic Director. So, Ben, welcome into the studio. Mary, good to see you again.
Good morning.
You guys weren't fist fighting out there or anything like that because...
We were, but right before you got in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She won.
Yeah, so sorry, my money's on Mary Teresa. Sorry. But what we're talking about tonight, is this is the way it should be. There should be a common interest with both sides saying we can argue over who should be elected, but we're talking about making sure that we all agree the votes should be counted properly, securely, with every bit of integrity. And as I understand it, that's what we're talking about tonight after I'm done with my thing. But that's part of the demonstration here tonight.
Sure, 100%. I mean, so also too, the city, we just purchased new voting equipment. So it's we're kind of on a mission to show everyone what the equipment is and to show that all those concerns about how your ballot's being counted, how you vote, just trying to ease voters into the new voting equipment and answer any questions they have.
What's going to change? I mean, because depending on the precinct that you're at, over the years when I voted, I have had so many different methods of voting. What's it going to look like in the city?
So it's going to look like in the city. The equipment we're purchasing is primarily a paper-based system. So it's there's kind of three components to it. There's a ballot-on-demand printer. What that's going to allow is that any voter, regardless of what your assigned precinct is, you can vote at any city polling place because the ballot-on-demand printer can print your specific ballot no matter where you're registered. And that's for any city voter. And then there's going to be the ADA accessible devices. Those are going to be new. In the past, we voted using what they call a DRE, Direct Recording Electronic. Now it is a system that, because Missouri law in January of next year is going to require any vote being tabulated to be on essentially a piece of paper that can be tabulated. The DRE stored the vote on the machine. With this new system, the accessible device will actually print a record of what the voter's voting for. The voter can review that record and make sure it's his or her vote before it's cast. And then tabulate that vote into the machine. So, it's a lot of the same as far as where you're voting, but it's going to make it more accessible for voters, and also too, I think the idea of having a record and the voter seeing how he or she votes, I think it definitely means something as far as the integrity of the vote.
So it sounds like one of the biggest changes is your ability to vote anywhere in the city, which I think that's huge. That gets a lot of people, because a lot of people get confused about, okay, well, where is my particular polling place? I know in my town in St. Louis County, we get a little card. It's like, okay, here are the polling places you're allowed to vote in your from your area. So in this case, no matter where you are in the city, you can go to any polling place. If you see a little sign there, basically you can vote there, right?
Right. It's the same idea that the county's had in effect since I think in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make voting more accessible. It's also going to make it more cost effective because in the past there had to be a pre-printed ballot for every voter. In this case, now you're printing on demand. That means that obviously there'll be a ballot there for every voter, but there won't be the waste there was before. So it's going to make things more accessible, more efficient. There's just a lot of pluses to what we're doing.
Yeah, I actually got to do that this past April. I live in the county, and there was my precinct, and then there was actually a polling place closer to my house.
Yeah.
And so I just ran in there, and I was in and out in just a couple of minutes. I absolutely loved it. And not only is it more efficient, it sounds like, Dan, it sounds like there's just less excuse not to vote in this from this point forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's important. Obviously, it sounds melodramatic, but it breaks my heart when you see a 50% turnout on an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of the thing would be if more people participate, I think there would be more confidence in the result of the election.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's not necessarily the integrity of making sure my vote's counted, but the integrity of that the person who represents you, it truly represents the will of the people of where you live. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Mary Teresa, so this demonstration is going to be going on in the meeting, and the meeting is tonight. When is the meeting, and then what are they going to expect when they walk in?
Well, hopefully they come in by 7 o'clock. We're expecting a really good turnout tonight.
Yeah.
Because of the demonstration and also because of my coming to speak.
Of course.
But the demonstration, we've put the word out, and it's like you don't have to be a Republican to come and see the demonstrations
Right.
of the new machine. And so when people get there, we're going to hear from Mike. We're going to have our typical, the committee people, are you here? Are you present?
You're doing your business stuff.
You create some business, and then what we're hoping is that that a lot of people are very interested in the machines, and they want to really get into it. They want to ask a lot of questions. Then also we're going to have some talk about our picnic coming up September 10th. So there'll be an update about that this evening, but please come because it's very informative. Our monthly meeting is always full of information.
We're going to do the time, the place, and all that in just
a
few minutes here
Yep.
as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
And Dan, tell me about why it's. Because it sounds like if we are still voting on the ballot like you normally would, and like I said, I voted I think on every type of ballot over the years.
Yeah, seems
we
like.
go back to the 2000 hanging Chad debacle, and all of
hanging
the
chads.
arguments over
Yep.
electronic and all that sort of stuff. So what's the importance of being able to see it in person? I mean, we've all seen ballots before, so why is it crucial to get out in front of people instead of just saying, go to this website and look it up?
Sure. So the city's been voting on the same system since I think it was 2005. So it's been in place for that long. There was a heavy use of the DREs here in the city, and that is not going to be the emphasis going forward. The emphasis is going to be the paper ballot. So it's trying to people, anytime something's new, especially when it's voting, or, like as Gabe said, messing with someone's polling place, anytime there's something new, it makes people have concerns. And so just to have people, be able to answer their questions, to be able to show them that, their vote's being counted, it's just kind of our mission to do that. And it's also just to kind of raise awareness of voting too. Just trying to say that, the city is making an effort to address concerns in some sense. And, as an election board, we're here if you ever have any questions or if you ever want to talk about, voting or anything like that in the city, that we are just here.
So just to be a little more specific, we're talking about like bubble fill-in. It prints out automatically. You show your ID, it prints out. Here's your specific ballot, all the available candidates to you, all the available issues, and it's a bubble fill-in with a pencil or something like that, and then you scan it in. I think I've actually done this in St. Louis, this particular
it's
machine.
paper and ink. That's it.
Paper and ink. All right.
Bubbles, and you fill your choices in. You cast your ballot with your hand.
And I think they let you keep the pen.
we won't stop you.
Souvenir.
Yeah, mine did.
I was going to say, that just means you stole a pen. That's what that means. All right, Mary Teresa, you all have a few more minutes because we're going to do an information segment here. But let's
certainly do.
Real quick, where and when? Give the address, website, and then we'll do that again here before the top of the hour.
Sure.
As well.
St. Louis Police Officers Association Hall, 3710 Hampton. It's near Chippewa, and parking is. We have parking on the north side of the building, and then there's street parking.
Right.
And there's plenty of places to park if you get there early enough.
Yeah, right there on the bottom floor.
Yeah. It's just one floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And if you get there closer to 7, you might be on the street, but it's right around. I mean.
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
yeah. We've never had a complaint about parking. And then once you come, you don't have to RSVP. There's no cost. And come, and everyone's welcome. And tonight we're going to have Democrats there too, as
Even
well as
Democrats
Republicans.
That's right. That's right. All right. What's the website again, real quick, if somebody wants to look it up when they get to work?
stlouisrepublicans.com.
Okay.
It's right there when you go to the website. It is right there.
All right. So Mary Teresa McLean and Dan Borgmeyer are going to hang out with us a few more minutes. Did I say it wrong?
It's okay. It's Ben.
Ben, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ben. I don't know why I said Dan. So Ben Borgmeyer from the City Election Board of Directors going to stick around with us for a few more minutes. If you have any questions, let us know. And this is about the machines, the actual process. We're not talking about the laws and the new systems and all that kind of stuff. We're talking about the actual voting
actual machine
itself. So
and the accuracy of it.
Yes. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is a scary time when it comes to your money, especially if buying a home. That's why you need Homestead Financial Mortgage. I know the owners, met the team. You can trust Homestead will be with you every step of the way. Call 24/7 with any question or concern. Homestead is on your schedule, not banker's hours. This is not just about buying a home. It's about trust. You can go to my website, larry.homesteadfinancial.com. larry.homesteadfinancial.com.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. You know, whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser-guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything, of course. It's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value, delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
Hello and welcome from all of us at the Indoor Comfort Team. We want to help earn your trust and make your life, well, more comfortable. The Indoor Comfort Team has helped thousands of people deal with the common concerns of heating, cooling, hot water heaters. We've been doing this since 1979, and we're still only a call away. Whenever you need us, the Indoor Comfort Team. Comfort you can trust.
Call 314-894-8200 or visit indoorcomfortteam.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
A message from the Everything is Bad for You Institute. Sleeping in on weekends could be bad for your gut health. And here are a few other things that could be bad for you. Coffee, eggs, bacon, Teflon, baby powder, running, sugar, smoking, heroin, the internet, clowns in gutters, smartphones, theme parks, social media. In other words, wrap yourself in bubble wrap and don't eat or drink and don't do anything. This has been a message from the Everything is Bad for You Institute.
Yeah, that's what I get for looking at headlines on Twitter.
yeah, that's what you come away feeling like after a bit on social
Pretty
media.
much. All right, 7:51 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. I got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Our friend Mary Teresa McLean from the St. Louis City Republican, and our new friend Ben Borgmeyer from the St. Louis City Election Board, where you're the Democratic director. Very quickly, the structure of that, there's a Democratic and a Republican director.
That's correct.
And then there's, this is a full office in the city.
That's correct. It's full up to be 24 people full-time. And there's a board of commissioners that sits above us.
Got it. Okay, so tonight at the Republican Party's meeting, Dan, you're going to be there. Or I did it again. Ben. Why am I doing that? I don't know. Sorry.
I think Dan's a guy that you know.
It is, yes.
I think that's the problem.
And so, Ben, you're going to be there, and we're doing a display, or you're doing a display.
Well, we'll have a whole staff there.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. And then so people are going to be able to see this new system that the city has, and it sounds like it's very similar to what the county is implementing, because some of this, it sounds like, has to do with some of the new updated regulations from the state. As well. So if somebody comes in to vote, the next election going to be April. Is there an August, or is there an August vote this year?
So actually, right now, the only scheduled election, there's a special business district in St. Louis Hills next Tuesday, but then the next major citywide election is August of next year. So that's
of next year.
Yeah,
okay.
24.
So that's right, because the charter, you don't have the April ones as
Correct.
well. So, but let's say for that special district voting, what, if any, changes have happened that they're going to need to know to come in to vote?
Nothing. As far as coming in to vote, all the ID laws went into effect last year, but that still means, any registered voter can vote. It's just the method of how the person votes. If someone has an ID, they vote, air quotes here, regularly, but if the person does not have an ID, it'd be a provisional vote. But if you're a registered voter within the district, you can vote no matter what.
Now, in the county, we have the option to do the paper versus the electronic. Are you going to have the electronic machines there as well, or is it just all the paper, all the new system that we're going to be looking at the meeting?
There will be an accessible device at every single polling place. So the machine or the touchscreen voting, that option will be there for voters as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and is that the one you said? But there's still a printout of it, though.
Still a paper printout.
Yeah. See, I'm 100% for that. I think there needs to be something tangible that you can document with. Not that there would ever be a recount in an election, but just in case. These are things I think is crucial, and these are things that should never be partisan, Mary Teresa. These are things that just say, if I want the right person, the person who gets the most votes to win, then we need to make sure that we count the votes accurately to make sure that does happen.
Accurately. And there's a word I'd like to interject here, and that is convenience. What this is doing is making, as far as the polling places, being able to go to any polling place, there is a level of convenience there for people that is very honorable, because people are busy. They have things they have got to get done, and to be able to go into any polling place is fabulous. But you add on top of the convenience factor, this wonderful convenience factor, and you have a level of knowing that this is accurate, that my vote is going to be accurately counted. And I think when you pair those two things together, we're going to see an increase in voter turnout. And I hope that that's not just wishful thinking on my part. I really hope that comes to fruition.
If I could just interject something about having the piece of paper in front of you, I do think it shows a level of respect to the voter. As far as being able, voter, before you cast your ballot, this is just making sure this accurately reflects your will. What you choose to vote. With the DREs, there was no question those were accurate. We've had recounts before where there was absolutely no difference between the reported total and then the recount total. So they were definitely accurate machines. But you would see cases where voters would be like, well, you click cast and it's gone. And it's like, there would be a little printout on the side that would show you who you voted for. But a lot of times voters didn't know that or didn't check that. In this system, having it in your hand, being able to review it, tabulate it, and I do think it shows a level of respect to the voter.
Yeah, and
I agree.
And is it a matter of getting out ahead of getting out ahead of what could be questions or challenges later, because those can be really destructive if the integrity of an election is challenged at all. I mean, obviously, I want it. If somebody's challenging something that went wrong, that's obviously something you want to do. But getting out ahead of it to say, okay, here's how we're safeguarding to make sure that there are no issues with the actual counts is just crucial, especially with what we've been through the last few years.
Absolutely, and also it's like you talked before about bipartisan. We cater to all voters, not just one type of voter, and so people come to the polls with all different expectations and ideas, and so when you prepare elections, you're trying to prepare for any questions of any variety, and it doesn't matter if you as an election official know that it's accurate. It's just telling a voter, hey, just believe it. Just don't look at it. It's fine. Right. That can never be the response.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah, don't ask questions. We know what we're doing. We're the experts. I mean, so we take the approach of just trying to make sure every voter, the integrity of the results from any which direction you view are integral, whatever, or with integrity.
Yeah. So, because election day, for people to do what you do for a living, I mean, that's your Super Bowl, basically.
Absolutely, man. It's
the big show.
Yeah.
The big show.
The big show.
All right. So tonight, that's happening at 7 o'clock. Well, the demonstration will probably happen 30 minutes later or something like that. But 30, 40 minutes later after that. But 7 o'clock is when everything starts. And you've been kind enough to invite me to come out and say a few words.
We're excited about having you come.
Well, thank you.
We are. We've been building up to this, and
now I got pressure.
Yeah, right. The pressure's on, Mike.
Okay, so let's do.
And you're gonna live up to it.
All right, let's do the location website again.
Sure.
Then Dan, I want to. Gosh, dang it,
Ben.
Ben. Then I'd like to give out any sort of contact information. People have questions or website or anything like that. But let's start with the details of tonight.
Okay, the location is at the St. Louis Police Officers Association Hall at 3710 Hampton, near Chippewa. Mm-hmm. It's at 7 p.m. and show up. Come.
That's right.
Yep.
Website?
stlouisrepublicans.com.
Easy enough.
Sure. Bed Borgmeyer, St. Louis City Board of Elections. My number is 314-589-6204. My email address is just borgmeyer@stlous-mo.gov. We're located at 300 North Tucker. If you ever have any questions, don't hesitate.
Thanks so much for being here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, it is definitely summer here in the Heartland. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service for all of your commercial and residential tree care. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Let him come out to your homestead or your business today. Take care of everything regarding the exterior of your home. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They've got fantastic organic mulch in bulk. Plant health care as well. Give them a call, 636-379-1830, 24/7. They're always available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Mr. Trump goes to Washington. The former president, indicted again by the Biden Justice Department, is due for arraignment in D.C. in about 7 hours. Correspondent Eric Tucker says Mr. Trump faces counts of conspiracy and obstruction after openly questioning the outcome of the 2020 election and refusing to back down.
One of the defenses potentially is that Donald Trump's actions are protected by the First Amendment, that he had a right to protest against an election that he believed had been stolen from him, and that his advisors were saying had been stolen from him.
Trump lawyers say their client did engage in the long-standing American tradition of political free speech, the kind of speech that others of all political stripes have practiced since the dawn of the Republic. Mr. Trump contends he's being persecuted for political reasons, hinting at a change of venue request. The former president argues there's no way he could get a fair trial in D.C. After draining it to historic lows, the Biden administration is dragging its feet on replenishing America's strategic petroleum reserve, oil set aside for a national emergency.
It's because of a price hike that has pushed oil above $80 a barrel. The Energy Department canceled a planned purchase of 6 million barrels for the strategic reserve this week, saying it wants to secure a good deal for taxpayers. The Biden administration says it remains committed to refilling the reserve, which President Biden significantly drained last year in a bid to stop oil prices from rising amid production cuts by OPEC and a ban on Russian oil imports because of the war in Ukraine. Keith Peters reporting.
At least 13 people injured in South Korea. A man drove his car onto a sidewalk, jumped out, started stabbing people near a subway station in the city of Seongnam. A suspect being held by police. Dow futures down 63 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all know Joe Biden isn't getting the job done and too often is making things worse.
That's conservative business leader Doug Burgum, one of America's most successful governors. Raised with small-town values, Burgum built $1 billion company, creating thousands of jobs. As governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum cut taxes, balanced the budget, and helped pass term limits.
Where we come from, when something isn't working, you stop and you try something new. That's common sense. Joe Biden has got to go.
As president, Doug Burgum will unleash American energy and end Biden's inflation. He'll secure the border to stop the flow of illegal drugs. And Burgum will rebuild our military to win the Cold War with China.
Do you believe that the economy, energy, and national security are critical to our nation's future? Remember, that's why I'm running for president.
Best of America PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.best.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. Scattered rain and thunderstorms taper off early, but that's after resulting in some flash flooding in a few spots outside of the St. Louis metro. It's cloudy this morning, a few breaks of sun this afternoon, turning muggy, a high of 86. Little to no rain expected this afternoon. A low chance of a shower or storm tonight, but mainly dry, down to 74. Friday, partly cloudy and warmer, up to 90 with a 20% chance of rain. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm the world's heavyweight wrestling champion.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I'm Batman.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
I want to be clear, I'm not going nuts.
No.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Guess what day it is?
What day is it?
It's arraignment day.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that like every week?
Pretty much.
It's a day that ends in Y.
Yeah.
Yeah, so therefore it's another arraignment day.
Okay.
Got the update for you on that.
Oh, geez.
Oh, man. Also, at 8:20, Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's BFF, he, of course, as we all know, gave testimony to a U.S. House committee on Monday, but he sat down with Tucker Carlson apparently on Tuesday because, well, I guess it was Tuesday or Wednesday, because last night, Tucker Carlson, out of nowhere, dropped another one of his video shows on Twitter, and it was
Twix.
Twix, yes, as Gabe has renamed it Twix. Because it's X, it used to be Twitter, now it's X.
It's Twix.
Yeah. And because I have a trouble saying things like, because Tucker Carlson's on X. You can find me on X.
On X.
Having grown up in the 80s, that means something totally different.
Yeah. And you don't tweet. Actually, I've noticed something. They started calling everything posts because when it used to say somebody so and so retweeted this and it would have you lift it. Now it says like that little bit of thing that it says reposted. So now you post on X. You don't tweet.
I tweet
on Twitter.
I tweet.
No, but okay. So look,
they can call it what they want. I'm tweeting. Damn it.
But look, if now if you post things now on X. And it happens to be verified information. Is that now an ex post facto?
Oh,
I'm just curious. I mean, it's like I'm trying to understand now.
You navigated well to get to that.
That was a long way to go, but it was worth it.
It was. Good payoff there.
Thank you.
All right. So
here all morning.
So as part of the tease that I was getting to,
sorry,
is no, you're not. So Tucker Carlson drops the show, and Devin Archer was the one-on-one guest, and so I've got a clip of that conversation. Let's talk about that right around 8:20.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell. Don't forget our News Talk social media. You can find us on X at News Talk STL. I'm at AVP Radio Show. Gabe's at John Philosopher. Of course, Facebook and Rumble is really where you want to be, especially if you're video streaming us as well. Okay,
and I'm anti-X.
Yeah.
There you go.
No X. At the studio.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so Donald Trump's going to be in federal court today in Washington, D.C. He's going to plead not guilty to the latest indictments, the third in the series of indictments against him. And this is going to happen as it's scheduled right now, unless they change the schedule. As of right now, he says this is supposed to happen at 3 o'clock Central Time, which, a little unusual that it's that late in the day. But that's what's going to happen. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute circus around the courtroom because this is the one where he's being charged criminally by Jack Smith and the Department of Justice related to January 6th and related to his contesting of the 2020 election. And, we went through a lot of those issues yesterday. The indictment itself, the 4-count indictment itself, is easy to find. It's like 45 pages, but it's legal pages, so it doesn't take you that long to read all of them. It's essentially, I've seen it described, and I think this is probably accurate. I've seen it described as basically being an MSNBC script.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds about right. It follows for what I read of it. I didn't read the whole thing, but yeah, I started and I realized what I was reading, and I said, okay, I'm not going to hurt my brain anymore.
I was going to print it out this morning, and I'm like, no, not 40-some pages.
Killing trees
I'm
for
just
this.
not doing that. There's no way. And so, this is going to happen. He's going to plead not guilty. Whether or not he makes a statement, I don't know. But he'll put something out on his Truth Social,
right?
Which he's already done, and it'll be along the lines of what's happened before. So essentially, what we have here is the latest photo op, second verse, third verse, same as the first on this, and then what'll really be intense is when these trials actually start. Early next year, probably in the spring. Now, remember, you've got the one in New York, and now you've got the one in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. Now you've got the one in Washington, D.C. I fully expect there's going to be some kind of state indictment in Georgia as well over election-related matters as well. And so in between his political rallies and media interviews, Donald Trump's going to be appearing in court basically everywhere.
Cass Bowen, our friends over
down in Springfield.
Down in Springfield. She was a producer for Tim Jones' morning show out there. She posted this list on X. She tweeted it. And it's kind of fascinating. June 7th, FBI releases documents to Congress alleging Biden took $10 million in bribes from Burisma. June 8th, Jack Smith indicts Trump on the Mar-a-Lago thing. Okay, July 26th, Hunter Biden goes to court and his, for his sweetheart deal thing, and that whole debacle happens. July 27th, Jack Smith adds more charges to the Mar-a-Lago thing. July 31st, the business partner goes and testifies. August 1st, Jack Smith indicts Trump again for January 6th. Starting to sense a pattern.
It's like a train schedule.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So if it's indictment day, then yesterday was probably something bad for the Bidens. Like you can almost you
Or
can
the
set
day
your clock to
before.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
the previous day.
Monday, Monday was a bad day, absolutely for the Bidens.
Right. And then the
Without any
following
question.
day, there'd be some problem for Trump, necessarily.
Yeah, I saw a couple of people show that list just to do due diligence.
Yes,
we do know those dates are accurate, right?
I'm pretty sure those are accurate.
Okay,
I recall these in that order. Now maybe they might be exaggerated a little bit, but
Right,
I don't know.
The point is that there's always an answer in the press to something, and the reality is that you can't not talk about a former president of the United States for the first time in history being charged with crimes.
Right.
That's just
That's news.
in and of itself. That is news. Now, part of the news is the debate over is it legitimate or not. But now what we've got is so many of these that they don't have the effect that I think Donald Trump's opponents want it to have. Now, I am not one of those who says, well, because he's Donald Trump, he did nothing wrong. There are people like that.
There are.
And if you're one of those, sorry if I just stepped on your toes, but there are some people who say, I know they're not true because it's aimed at Donald Trump.
Right.
Now, I think most of what I've read about all of these and what I've read into these is a lot of crap. But let's we want to assume innocence until proven guilty.
Right.
I think it's going to be really hard to prove guilty because I think a lot of this is absolute crap. But let's not close our mind to the idea that there could be something there that has some semblance of legitimacy. I don't know because I don't want to end up being just some sort of partisan hack. I want to make sure we get all the facts, which is what we demand of everybody else.
Yes.
But this really looks like crap in this one.
I know a lot of lawyers, and I know a lot of lawyers who have read, all of read through the whole thing, and like to the exact number of lawyers that I know, they all say it's crap.
Yeah.
There are a couple. There is at least one or two that I've seen on TV who say, well, there might be something, but they are such a minority of the people out there. Basically, I don't think this has much merit.
And it's easy to say, well, Donald Trump's got nothing to worry about because what they're doing is they're trying to charge him for contesting an election, which he has a right to do. They're trying to charge him for speaking out, which he has a right to do.
Right.
And you may say, well, he's got nothing to worry about. There's no way that he loses on this. Maybe. I don't know. But it's going to cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to get
and a lot
there.
of time.
And a lot of time. And, so it absolutely is a massive event that's happening, whether it's legitimate or not. And this one, it doesn't look like it's legitimate at all.
And the election interference charge by Trump, I think is absolutely legitimate because what happens is because this looks pretty nakedly political, because it looks so the case itself looks so thin that the distraction of the time it'll take to defend against all of this is necessarily going to have an undue impact on his ability to campaign. Because I mean, you know for a fact, Mike, that campaigning for something is that's a 24/7 operation until you're actually done with the election day, and it only gets worse as time goes on. I remember seeing people schedule some of these candidates' schedules, especially when you get towards election time.
I've been there.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, I'm in this city at this time, and this city at that time, and they're hundreds of miles apart between these, and in the meantime you're doing a phone interview on something and a Zoom call. And imagine now you have to fit in court dates and depositions and all these other meetings with the lawyer to go over this stuff. All of that is necessarily a disruption to the election process.
Yeah, and so what's going to happen today, this afternoon? Going to be a circus. I have no idea what we're going to get out of this other than a not guilty plea from Donald Trump. I couldn't imagine they're going to impose any sort of bond or anything like that. It's not like he's a flight risk. It's not like he doesn't have a reason to be traveling around the country. It's not like they can't find the guy. But I did hear a report earlier today that says we'll find out what the terms of release are. Which is really unnecessary.
That's an interesting way of saying it that way, yeah.
And I know that, which is a standard operating procedure of a court in any sort of criminal case.
Yeah, but
but in this case right here, somebody says, well, why should there be any different rules? Because it's different.
Yes, this whole situation. The reason we're talking about it is because of how different it is. just indicting a former president has never happened in the history of the country. That's kind of a big deal, right?
It's a huge deal. Yeah, without a doubt. And somebody who's running for president at the time.
At the time.
You know.
Against the guy who's running the DOJ that's going after it. I mean, come on.
Such a mess. Such a mess. All right. And in relation to that, obviously, you mentioned early on, just a couple days ago, we have, the president's son's best friend and business partner testifying. And then he goes to talk to Tucker Carlson. And if you find Tucker Carlson on Twitter, you guys call it X, call whatever. It's Twitter to me. It's like Riverport. It's always going to be Twitter. And you want to hear that? It's about an 11-minute conversation, but I've got a clip of it for you just ahead, right around 8:20 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Then a little bit later on today, this situation with the 911 system in the city of St. Louis, it's going from bad to worse. More people are piling on stories. This is something that not even the St. Louis City Hall and the Board of Aldermen and the mayor can keep avoiding the way that they have been for too much longer. We'll get into that just a little bit later on as well here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Before you blow us all away. You wanna do that now? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin. Get up.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Representative Justin Sparks. How difficult is it as a police officer that you don't get jaded and be like, they're all like that?
Because God said that they were created in his image. And frankly, when somebody gets shot or killed and their loved ones are falling out on the front lawn and they're freaking out, they do not care that I'm white when I show up to the scene. They just want me to get justice.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Mystic Fix is sponsored by Comma Flight, redefining the dance between the masculine and feminine. Comma Flight is a somatic movement practice merging yoga, meditation, and massage. Workshops in 2023 are at the Chosen Retreat Center in Sebastian, Florida. For more, visit Comma Flight on Instagram at KAMAFLIGHT.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then. Okay, the U.S. House Committee hearing testimony of Devin Archer was held behind closed doors. Let's all use our air quotes. Behind closed doors.
You know what happened? I think they forgot there was a doggy door.
Somebody down there with a listening device.
Yes. And it's not even so much to keep other people out. They were worried more about people running out. Mm-hmm. You want to keep the people in because everybody wanted to go to media and be the one to deliver the news of what Devin Archer spoke about. So people who could not wait to go out the cameras to talk about the behind closed doors meeting. Right after that, though, it looks like Archer sat down with Tucker Carlson to discuss Hunter Biden's use of his dad's influence. By the way, the conversations that we have here on this show and every one of our shows, you can access through News Talk STL listening on demand. Best way to do that, either through the website, newstalkstl.com, or wherever you get your podcast. Just look up News Talk STL. Please hit subscribe, and you'll get those interviews, and you can re-listen to any show that you want or check out the shows maybe that you missed because your boss had like bad priorities and made you do work and go to meetings or something like that. You can get caught up on your News Talk STL conversations. Okay, and I got to tell you, I was actually surprised. And I shouldn't be because Tucker Carlson has a way of accessing people you would not think would come on to his show. There are so many times I'll see an interview with somebody that he's just a political enemy of, but they will go on his show and then he'll just kind of eviscerate them. And I'm thinking, what did you think was going to happen? But in this case, it wasn't adversarial.
No,
it was
not at all.
just very conversational. It
surprised me that it was that quickly after his appearance.
That's where I was going with it. Was this guy comes to the U.S. House? He's already been convicted of a couple fraud things. He's appealing that, and they're talking about when he's going to report to jail or whether he's going to during another appeal, all this kind of stuff. And so this guy decides to go sit down with Tucker Carlson at his new studio, wherever those studios are. And the conversation is really easy to listen to because it's very conversational.
Oh, yeah. It's like friendly. He's just chilling. You're just chilling with the guy.
This guy's coming across as, he's a slick businessman. He's a high-flying businessman.
Very upbeat.
Very.
Smiling almost all the time through most of the conversation.
Yeah.
It seemed like a really good chat that it's like you were a fly on the wall.
That's a good way to put it. So here's a part, and this I think is one of the main parts of that conversation where they're just talking very candidly about, okay, what about the presence of Joe Biden in these business meetings? And these business meetings typically were dealing with millions of dollars in different arrangements. And here's how this part of the conversation went.
It's been reported, and you have said that there were occasions when Joe Biden would call in with clients present on a speakerphone.
Right.
How many times do you think that happened?
I mean, over a 10-year partnership, I would, the number I'm going with is 20. That's probably the amount that I kind of reckon. Yeah, a lot, you could say.
So Joe Biden, who's very much a product of Washington, of course must have known that he was calling in to effectively a business meeting that his son was having. I mean, he must have understood that was kind of what his son was selling.
Well, that's hard for me to speculate on that.
But I guess my question, just to keep it to the facts, Joe Biden, then the sitting vice president, knew that there were Hunter's business associates in the room.
Yeah, I think I can definitively say at particular dinners or meetings, he knew there were business associates, and or if I was there, I was a business associate too.
Yeah.
So I think, or if any of the other colleagues from the D.C. office or the New York office were there. So yeah, at times there were. From the to be completely clear on the calls, I don't know if it was an orchestrated call in or not. It certainly was powerful though, because if you're sitting with a foreign business person and you hear the vice president's voice, that's prize enough. I mean, that's pretty impactful stuff for anyone in the world.
It's been reported, and I know that it is true, that Hunter and his brother were very close to their dad.
Absolutely.
which I think is great.
Yep.
I've got a lot of kids. I'm very close to them, talk to them every day.
Yeah.
Never called them on speaker during a business meeting. That's weird. You've got a lot of kids. You're close to them. Do you call them on speaker during business meetings?
Do I call?
I mean, what is that? A grown man calling his dad on a speakerphone during a business meeting?
Right. And to be clear, sometimes the call was coming in and the speaker would go on. So it's just the president. You have to be. I mean, you understand DC, right? So the power to have that access in that conversation, and it's not in a scheduled conference call, and it's a part of your family. That's like the pinnacle of power in DC.
Okay, let me point out three things. First of all, the words power and access.
Yes.
Those two go hand in hand.
Kind of a big deal.
Let me also talk about why this conversation was so interesting, being so conversational, being so disarming, is that Tucker Carlson was referencing Hunter Biden calling his dad.
Yeah.
And Devin Archer right there, and I don't know if a lot of people caught this, was saying, well, to be fair, sometimes the call came in.
Yes.
Okay, so defending his buddy, you know, he wasn't always being that kid.
Right.
He's like, hey, let me tell you who I can get on the phone. Tucker Carlson and Devin Archer had already established that Joe Biden knew that he was talking to a business meeting that was in progress.
Yeah.
So if Joe Biden's calling in, there's very little chance that he doesn't know what he's doing and to whom he's going to be speaking.
Right.
Vice President of the United States, those things aren't very casual on the calendars. So what I just heard Devin Archer confirm is that when you talk about the power, you talk about the access, you talk about the currency of impressing people with your connections. Oh, look at this. My dad happens to be calling. Now, I remember I would call my dad sometimes just, because I had a question or to chat with him or whatever. And it's funny because my dad would pick up the phone and he would, he'd say hello and I'd say, hey, Dad, just checking in. He goes, oh, I can't talk right now. I'm in a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my question would be, well,
why'd you
pick
answer
up the phone?
Yeah.
And he would say, well, it could have been an emergency. Okay.
Right.
But that's not what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
And I would always tease my dad with that. I think almost up to the day he died. I'm like, why would you pick up the phone if you couldn't talk to me? It's okay. But in this case right here, they've already established they were well aware of the power of having the last name Biden with the vice president of the United States, which, and if you think back to that time, completely reasonable to say this guy's going to be president someday. He was the vice president under an incredibly popular president, in Barack Obama.
Yes.
And there was no reason to think that he would not be president someday.
Right.
And so what you have there is them confirming that not only was Joe Biden just there, almost just a passive decor of the meeting, you have an active participant in the influence peddling.
Well, and the thing is, the knowingly calling into a meeting thing, that suggests coordination,
right?
Which is that's basically the thing that's at issue. It isn't just that, oh well, you can't indict me for being the son of a powerful person. He's just my dad. Sometimes I call him. Sometimes he's passing through something. But that's kind of the I mean it's disingenuous, but that's kind of the defense of this thing. But knowingly calling in, like what you said was confirmed, is that Joe Biden was knowingly calling into a business meeting that his son was having, and he knew it. That suggests coordination.
And let's remind everybody, these business meetings were not, I'm trying to sell an order of shoes to the store in the mall.
Right, yes.
Let's just remember that there's far more at stake. What was being included in the deal is literally access to the highest levels of the United States government, involving other nations around the world and international business and things that affect public policy as well. That's why everybody's eyebrows should be raised about this, and that's why it demands more investigation. It demands more inquiry, and that's why we all, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal alike, should be alarmed when we go back to the IRS whistleblowers who are saying we weren't allowed to ask the questions.
Yeah.
We were told specifically, you can go here, but you cannot go here. If it starts to point towards Joe Biden, it is off limits. And who said that? The Department of Justice.
That's kind of a big
who
deal.
Said that.
That's kind of a big deal. I mean, we're talking about now following the money, which is really what's always going to be at issue. The money trail is the thing that usually it brings out the smoking gun in any of these types of coordinated, laundering sort of situations. You got the multiple corporations from which all of these things are being funneled. All of the flagged transactions. There's a reason there are laws that say that, hey, bank, you have to flag this type of transaction. Is because they know that type of transaction is what usually happens in these sort of situations.
We like to do the flip test.
Yes.
Right?
Flip
Okay.
test.
Estelle, we got a minute to do a flip test?
Yeah, let's do it.
Donald Trump Jr. Is accused of trying to nail down some business deal in Saudi Arabia, and he got Donald Trump while he was president on the phone. Do we react the same way?
Oh, my gosh. I do.
I like to think I do. Do we react the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and one of the things that the Trump administration was accused of was continuing his international business deals while in office. And he specifically he specifically created a wall, an administrative wall between himself and his pre-existing business deals that were going on internationally.
Which, by the way, is very common. It is very common.
That's what
for
you
that
do.
To happen. Yeah.
Right.
So do we react the same way if this same type of thing played out with an R next to everybody?
I think we need to.
Yeah.
My goodness. The media does.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the media goes crazy, and they say, wait a minute, this is malfeasance, this is abuse of office, this is blah. They would try to impeach him within like 3 hours.
Right. So, and I bring that up, Stell, because for our friends on the left, who I know listen, and I wish you all would call a little bit more.
Yeah, please.
Who our friends on the left say, this is just about partisanship. You're just going after Biden. I'm telling you, if this exact same or a similar scenario played out with somebody on the right, and it has from time to time, the influence peddling things, I hope to God we would react the exact same way, because it's about the ethics, because it's about the principles, because it's about the dangers to the country when it comes to offering access to the highest levels of government in corrupt ways.
If it was flipped, it would be 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
On every radio and TV news outlet. It would be front page, New York Times, Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, LA Times, every single newspaper, Miami Herald. I can go all the way down the list. And you know what? On the newspaper side, this is something we don't think about very often because the newsrooms have been cut back so much.
Oh, yeah.
These papers are using syndicated stories coming from a very small source, whether it's Associated Press or New York Times, Washington Post, these news services. So that's getting funneled out to the Post-Disgrace and even the Chicago Tribune and Sun-Times, et cetera. So it's such it's just a small funnel that these news stories are going through, and that's what brings that bias into effect.
It just confirms it, layer on layer on layer of it. That's absolutely true, which is a problem that we were being warned about literally 25 years ago, about the cutback in local news and local media, which is, by the way, one of the things that makes us very different here.
Yep.
Here at News Talk STL, just bringing that up. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. Scattered rain and thunderstorms taper off early, but that's after, resulting in some flash flooding in a few spots outside of the St. Louis metro. It's cloudy this morning, a few breaks of sun this afternoon, turning muggy, a high of 86. Little to no rain expected this afternoon. A low chance of a shower or storm tonight, but mainly dry, down to 74. Friday, partly cloudy and warmer, up to 90 with a 20% chance of rain. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Waters. Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
I don't have to tell you, it's hot time summer in St. Louis, so why the heck are you still dragging those hoses around your yard? Tim Jones here for Professional Irrigation Systems. They will do a residential irrigation install in one day, custom irrigation designs for every property. We made that decision years ago. We've never regretted it. Irrigation installs improve your curb appeal. They also have got landscape lighting and fertilization packages as well. Make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. 636-692-4441, 24/7 at proirrigation.com. That's proirrigation.com.
HomeWise with Michael Midget.
Hi there, Michael Midget here. Coming up this Sunday on HomeWise Radio, a common question when buying a home is how much should you put down? We all think we know the answer, but do we really? What if what you believe is wrong? What if there was a process that would give a better answer? Could you make a better decision? Join me this Sunday for this and more.
HomeWise, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Get more HomeWise at homewiseradio.com. This is what's happening.
We saw Joe Biden has lied to the American people.
The only way that we will truly be able to present these facts to the American people is to launch an impeachment inquiry.
1019 and 94.1.
That plea deal was designed to cover up the web of corruption.
News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Eddie Money. Were you laughing because I'm like fighting with my microphone real quick? I got to be really careful because I don't know if you guys, well, you weren't here yet still. Gabe will remember. I think it was like the first week or two that we were on the air here, and somebody had done something with the microphone in the afternoon.
It was flipped over into like a different orientation or something like that.
And I went to change it, and it broke off and fell right off.
Oh,
yep.
my
So
goodness.
literally,
It did a clunk.
Like the first week or two, we're
On
like,
air.
we're calling the engineer. It's like, Gino, I already broke the radio station.
I think I
so
broke
now
it.
I'm a little, sensitive about how I do that.
Everything's got a light touch to it now.
Did I mention we're like a local business here?
Yeah.
And so we actually don't have a national account that we can say, oh, the stupid morning guy did that again.
Yeah,
Just
put it in order to the guys, and the guys will come through and do the thing. No, we don't have those.
give us a requisition. No, that's not how that works. It's all right. By the way, Eddie Money.
Yes.
Love Eddie Money. R.I.P. Eddie Money. I got to see him in, I guess it was, he died, 3-4 years ago? Something
Somewhere
like that.
around there,
So
yes.
I saw him back in, so he would have died, like 2019-ish, 2018-ish, something like that.
Sounds about right.
So I think I saw him in around 2014 or 2015 at the casino in Boonville.
Oh, wow.
Out there on I-70.
Oh, my gosh.
Now,
okay.
now I say that sounds really, but there were probably 2,500 people, 3,000 people, and they've got a very large space for,
so
for
they have
concerts out there.
big venue then.
But it was
Okay.
so much fun to watch him perform because he didn't try to do that thing where he comes out and relives his glory days and I'm the big rock star 25 years after I was the big rock star.
Yeah.
And he even said, "Hey, remember this from the Saturday Night Special? Let's go down memory lane. Let's just have some fun." And it was just kind of hanging out with him. It was
That's
a
awesome.
lot of fun.
That sounds great.
And of course, there's something about Eddie Money's. He was not a great vocalist. Let's be honest.
No.
Well,
kind of like Rod Stewart, although not as rough as Rod.
Right,
but
right.
Not really a vocalist in the true sense. You're right.
But just something that was just catchy about.
It would grab you. You're right.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So yeah, every time I hear Eddie Money, I'm like, yeah, turn that up. That's good. It's good road trip music right there.
And in my mind, I always go back to the MTV days.
Oh yeah.
Because he was one of the artists that you would always see on MTV.
What was your? I know what my favorite Eddie Money video was. Do you remember yours?
No, I don't, to be honest with you.
My favorite was I Want to Go Back.
Yes. Good tune.
Yeah, great song, but
Yep.
such a fun video with like him going back to his old high school days and going back in time. That
Yes.
for some reason I always got a kick out of that. Now my favorite song from Eddie Money is I Think I'm in Love, because it's a little more upbeat hard rock than Eddie Money typically would do. It was a little more hard rock, and I always love that song with Eddie Money. But you can't go wrong with an Eddie Money song.
2 Tickets to Paradise.
That's a great one, classic. Walk on Water.
Mm-hmm.
That video was entertaining for a whole different set of reasons that I'm not going to talk about because my wife might be listening. Shaken was great. Yeah, a lot of great music out there.
Boy, now you're bringing up his whole catalog.
I know, I'm saying, but that's funny.
Some good tunes.
It was one of those shows where like every time he would do another song, it's like when I saw the Doobie Brothers. They do another song. You're like, I forgot about that song. I love that song.
It
was just over and over and over and over again on that. Okay, so anyways, thanks for indulging me on that trip down memory lane here.
Well, all this makes me think, man, I miss MTV, like original MTV.
Yeah.
And then that reminded me of their old catchphrases, like, I want my MTV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, their birthday was just a few days ago.
That's right.
Wow.
I think it was August 1st. 83,
That's
maybe?
right.
I'm
Yep.
not sure. 81, 82, somewhere in there.
Oh, is that why they have dementia?
That is,
I was like, okay.
you're right.
Oh,
That's
man.
back when it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. It's kind of funny. One of those original VJs, Alan Hunter, now lives in Webster.
Oh, really?
Webster Grove, yeah.
Wow.
So I keep trying to run into him because
Okay.
Rachel and I go get lunch and dinner in Webster all the time. I'd love to.
You keep
run
looking
into
around
him.
for
Yeah.
local celebrity spotting.
All right. Hey, real quick here. Let me switch over. My experience with the city of St. Louis's 911 system pretty well documented now at this point.
Yep.
To the point of Channel 5 is now doing these series of stories on the 911 deficiencies in the city. And they did another one last night. And you go to KMOV.com. KMOV did a story now. KSDK Channel 5 is doing a lot of stories on that. I did the interview with Channel 5, but KMOV is also doing stories on this. And they talked to a former 911 dispatcher who is now kind of going public. She retired from the system after 20 years. Right. And now she's saying, you don't realize how bad this is.
Oh, wow.
And I also had another personal experience with a friend of mine just making an offhand comment where I said, this is what's the effect is. So if you go to KMOV.com, the former dispatcher going to the media, begging the city to fix the system that basically has a skeleton crew at all times. Maureen Ramsey tells KMOV, she says, when I left, we were holding calls for 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, she retired a couple years ago after 44 years on the job. She'd been there since 1977. And she said the environment was toxic. Understaffing is nothing new. And she blames the city government for this.
Yeah.
And she's not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. No. She said, I left because we couldn't get any qualified employees and the city wasn't willing to help us get employees. They would send us a list of candidates for the job, and the list would be 1, maybe 2 years old.
Oh, my God. Why?
So, look, here's people who applied 2 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
So what you have is just deficiencies in the entire system here. And she says she blames the city. Now, keep in mind, what you have here is a city that, first of all, has millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars in the Rams settlement money, the NFL settlement money.
Oh, yeah, the money's there.
You've also got ARPA money everywhere as well. But this is also the city that could quickly move and prioritize and put $1 million into a fund to subsidize abortions in Illinois.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. So they've got the funds to actually do something. And this is one of those few things where money can go a long way to fix the problem. You still have to have competent management and oversight, but you don't have enough dispatchers. Hire more dispatchers.
Raise the wage to encourage people to become dispatchers.
Exactly. You've got to meet this basic function of municipal government.
Right.
Here's the other personal aspect of this that I had. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day on the phone. He did not know that I was on Channel 5. He did not see that story. And he's a little bit older than I am, by a little bit. I mean, he's significantly older than I am. And he said, yeah, I got to, wear a couple things now, and I got to go in and get some tests done. I said, man, did something happen? He goes, yeah, I was at my house, and I kind of, passed out for a minute. So, but what he said was, because he's a guy like us. We don't want to go to the doctor. Most of the time, we're going to shake it off like, okay, that was dumb. I better, get some more water, stay hydrated, and we're going to move on with our lives. He said, but everybody around here knows that if something happens and you call 911, they may not show up. He said, so I figured I'd better get out ahead of it and go to the doctor and make sure everything's okay, because I don't want something to happen and then just be left for dead. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here. Mm-hmm. And that kind of hit me because this isn't about us in the media criticizing a government that has different ideology than we do. This is very real through the city of St. Louis. People understand I can't count on that basic government service. So when we talk about bad government, incompetent government, a lack of leadership, what we're talking about is people are saying, I can't count on those emergency services that are there to help save my life because I don't think they're going to respond.
It's kind of amazing. I mean, one of the things that always gets me about this is that whenever the Republicans kind of have this discussion about budgets, and the budget discussions are always kind of the sore spot between us and the Democrats, because we want to make some cuts, we want to reduce the size and scope of government, and the refrain from the left is always, well, if you do that, we're going to have to cut services. And they always choose the ones that you need: fire, police, ambulance, all these other things. They always talk about that. Now, right now, we keep increasing the budgets for city services, and they still can't do the basic things they're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then when I was talking to Christine Byers, the reporter for KSDK, who did a great job with that article or that story that I was in, I did not realize that the case of the woman who died when the tree fell in those storms, probably been a month now that happened, that she was alive.
Yeah.
For several minutes as people were scrambling to help her, nobody was arriving. Minute after minute after minute after minute after minute. We're into 20 minutes. We're into 30 minutes. The people there claimed that it was close to an hour. And all that time, that tree is buckling that car.
Right.
She's alive. She's conscious.
She's trapped.
Talking to people. She knows she's trapped. And she knows that tree is collapsing into that car, and the car is buckling, and she ended up being killed by that tree, surrounded by people who were not equipped to help her, desperately trying to help her because the city couldn't get somebody there. I'm not blaming the men and women in the fire trucks. I'm not blaming the men and women in the ambulances. I'm not blaming the men and women in the police cars. I'm blaming a system that's broken down from the point of here's the emergency call, to get that call, to get it answered, and get somebody on the way to go. We weren't mad at the firefighters who showed up 20 or 30 minutes after Brian went into cardiac arrest on that baseball field when I was there. We were mad that nobody got them there earlier. They got there probably as soon as they got the call.
Yeah.
But that's where it broke down. All right. What are we doing here?
You want to talk to Mike real quick?
Let's talk. Mike, if you can go real fast. We got you on News Talk STL, but I'm a little late getting in the break again.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a break this time, Mike. Look. The process in it, and it is a large process because I dealt with it for all those years I was on the fire department. I'm telling you, when they dispatch an ambulance, they always dispatch a fire truck.
Yes.
Always.
Yep.
The procedure. Now, why your friend did not have a fire truck pull in to where you guys were, I have no idea, unless they were out on another call and a fire truck from another district had to come a long way. I have no idea. I don't know what it did.
Yeah, it was a St. Louis City fire truck, and the fire truck got there right before the ambulance, but the fire truck didn't get there for, it was at least 20 minutes. Some of the guys say it was 30. It was at least 20, I can tell you that. Somewhere in that range. But I also know that there is a fire station that is 3.5 minutes away.
Yeah, it's right over off of DeVoliver.
Well, that's one of them. There's another one off of McCausland.
McCausland is one, yes.
Yeah.
You're correct. Yeah, right there at Highway 40. But the other issue is that, and you don't hear it in any of the reporting, is that are they down on units, EMS units? Are they having a lack of the amount? They've lost it. Is the dispatchers, do they have enough dispatchers? That could be an issue also.
Definitely don't have enough dispatchers.
That was the issue, Mike, as the early evidence tells us that was the issue, because when I called, I was on hold for several minutes.
Well, I wrote Dennis Jacobson, the chief of the fire department, and I made a suggestion. I said, why don't you take some of the guys who are like 55, who are retired from the fire department? They put 30 years on the fire department.
Yep.
They're still cognizant. They can operate.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you hire them? These people know the process, and let them work.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. They should never not have enough dispatchers.
Amen. Absolutely. Mike, appreciate you being on the program. That's a great point, especially somebody who's in the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary Wiegert was with us earlier this week.
Similar idea.
He said, you got a bunch of firefighters and police officers who are on disability for different injuries on the job.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get out in the field, but they sure know the system. Show them how to be a dispatcher
And we're already paying for them through the various systems that
Absolutely.
kind of. So why not? Put them to work.
Yeah, you've got two options. What Mike just said and what Gary said earlier, one police perspective, one fire perspective. The solutions are right there and the money is there. You don't have to raise taxes in order to pay for it based on what you already have. Nobody else has to die.
Yes.
Because of a broken down system. Fix it. Oh, geez. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Attention, all St. Louis City voters. Join us this Thursday as St. Louis City election officials are giving a public demonstration of the new voting machines and learn more about future elections. Empower yourself as a voter and see how your vote is counted accurately and efficiently. Rally your friends and head to 3710 Hampton on August 3rd at 7 p.m. for this exciting event. Let's unite as St. Louis City voters and embrace the future of democratic elections.
Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
From the home office in St. Louis, Missouri, it's the top 4 reasons you need to listen to The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter this Saturday night at 5.
Hi, it's Todd Showalter. This week on The Right Mind Show, we'll discuss just how woke and wacky both colleges and California have become with my buddy Professor Jim, plus our very own Right Mind political commentator, Rich Rubino, and of course, Joey V and Coffee King Kirby. So join us at 5 on Saturday right here at News Talk STL.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s new country streaming now. Bongino.
So TikTok users, I don't know who you are. A pretty broad group of people given the tens of millions of people that use the app. But you're surprised people stand for the national anthem? Don't be surprised. If you're sitting next to me at a game and you decide to sit on your ass, you're getting a dirty look from me.
Weekdays at 11 on News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Just want to remind everybody that I'm going to be speaking at the St. Louis City Republicans meeting tonight, 7 o'clock, St. Louis Police Officers Association Hall on Hampton. So come on out, join me. I'm going to be speaking for about 15 minutes or so. I'm going to be the first speaker tonight. And then a little bit later on, and this was a fascinating discussion with Ben Borgmeyer. I got the name right this time. And Mary Teresa McLean. They were talking about the demonstrations going to happen tonight regarding the voting equipment that the city has brought in. Now, this equipment it sounds like it's really similar to what we see in the county.
Yes. Yeah, it really does.
I was really impressed the last time back in April when I voted in the local elections. I had to go vote against the tax increases.
Yes.
And lost.
Same.
And I walked in and out within like a minute, and it's really, really, really impressive because normally I live in Richmond Heights. Normally we have to go up to the middle school, I guess it is. And, you got to go through some winding in-town stuff. And it's not that big of a deal. It's just a few minutes away. But it turns out there was a polling place much closer. And I happen to know that during those April elections, sometimes they don't always have as many precincts open because they have such a low voter turnout.
Right.
So I just called the county election board and said, hey, I want to double check. I never got my little card in the mail. Am I still voting at this school? And the lady on the phone, she goes, well, you can vote anywhere you want. And I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I said, what do you mean? She goes, yeah, if you're in the county, she goes, go to any precinct and you can vote there. I'm like, you're okay. So I went up to the, the VFW there on Big Bend. And I just kind of walked in. They took my ID, and then they printed up the ballot for my precinct right there. And had you been hanging out at my house, you could have gone. They would have printed up the ballot for your precinct.
Oh yeah, it was an amazing process because you go in, you show your ID, and it goes on this little. They have this little device that kind of scans it really quick, and here's verify your information. You do a little signature or initials or something like that, and then based on that information, the address that's correct on my ID, they printed out my ballot.
Yep.
And then I filled it out with a pen.
Why have we not been doing this already?
It's like the technology has been here.
So if you want to take a look at that tonight, come on out to the St. Louis City Republican meeting. You do not have to be a Republican. You can be an independent. You can be a Democrat because Ben, he's the Democratic director of elections, and he says he and his staff are going to be there tonight. So there's plenty of room. Coming out. Love to say hi. Love to meet you. And then I think the big attraction, though, is going to be looking at that equipment.
Yeah.
All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way just ahead here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Thanks for joining us on this Thursday, and welcome home to News Talk STL.
Mark McCloskey here, and my friend Mike Lindell and his team at MyPillow are having a big sale to celebrate their 20th anniversary and the sale of over 80 million pillows. Mike and his team want to thank everyone by giving you the lowest price in their history. The MyPillow queen-size pillows that are regularly $69.98 are now just $19.98, and for just $10 more, you get a king size. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts your exact individual needs to help you get the best sleep ever. Patty and I have slept on MyPillows for a long